Chapter 49:11. Ha, fellow Jiang misunderstood. The fourth layer is obviously inside Pan Long Mountain. When Zhou laughed, it's just that this old man is too lazy to fly. Moreover, when we go out, those guards will shout and keep us company. It's really noisy, so this old man usually uses the teleportation array inside Pan Long Mountain. Damn it. Xiaohua heard this and laughed bitterly. On the Xiaoyu continent, the teleportation array had long been lost. Any sect that had a teleportation array was already very arrogant. However, looking at the Yilin continent, the Wen clan, which was not particularly famous, had many secret teleportation arrays on the Yilin continent. Even within the sect, there were so many small teleportation arrays. Alas, they really didn't treat teleportation arrays as arrays. After the teleportation array was activated, Xiaohua's divine sense swept over it. He knew that it was indeed a small teleportation array as Wenzhou said, so he smiled and asked Wenzhou to go first. After Lu Qingyu and the others entered, he was the last to step into the teleportation array. At the same time that Xiaohua stepped into the teleportation array, in a place hundreds of miles away from Pan Long Mountain, in a valley that was not too barren, there was a slight vibration. The originally calm jade pool in the valley immediately set off light ripples. As soon as the water ripples appeared, faint mana fluctuations immediately appeared on the walls of the valley where only the wind and the chirping of birds could be heard. A dozen or so Aurus Core disciples wearing armor, under the leadership of a nascent soul cultivator, quietly flew out from the hidden mountain rocks and surrounded the jade pool above. Boom! After the ripples, a pillar of water like a pillar rushed into the sky. Black and white threads of light could be faintly seen in the water light, and a teleportation aura rushed out from the pillar of water and overflowed in all directions of the valley. Then, within the pillar of water, two figures appeared in the valley. These two figures fell into the encirclement of more than 10 disciples on guard. However, when these disciples saw the newcomers, they unconsciously looked at each other in dismay. Everyone looked at each other and bowed together. Disciples greet the clan head. Within the pillar of water surrounded by everyone, a man and a woman stepped on the waves and came over. The man had a strong build, a delicate face, dressed like a scholar, and held a folding fan in his hand. He had a romantic appearance. As for the woman beside the man, her eyes were filled with affection. Her face was like a peach blossom, and between her ample breasts and plump buttocks, she had a slender waist that could stir up thousands of emotions. This man was naturally the head of the Wen family, Wen Qingfan. At this moment, Wen Qingfan's face was slightly red and his body was a little crooked. He looked a little weak as he leaned on the woman's body. The woman's full breasts were pressed against Wen Qingfan's arm. The lines of her breasts were a little out of shape. However, the woman looked at her slightly red lips and didn't show any dissatisfaction. She seemed to be whispering something into Wen Qingfan's ear. When Wen Qingfan heard that the disciples wanted to see him, he didn't care that they were looking at each other. He waved his hand and said, "All of you will rise. Quickly drive the flying boat and send this old man back to the mountain. In addition, pass down the order to arrange a banquet. This old man wants to banquet? Invite Fairy Xinglin. Family head." That nascent soul cultivator hurriedly flew over and whispered, "Could it be that you drank too much? Please wake up." This disciple heard that our Wen clan has a distinguished guest. Fourth ancestor has just used the Wen clan's highest standard neon sky welcome. What? Neon sky welcome? Although Wen Qingfan was a little drunk, he was a Mahayana cultivator after all. He instantly sobered up and exclaimed, "What's wrong with fourth ancestor? What distinguished guest has come to our Wen clan? He actually dares to use the neon sky welcome?" This disciple isn't too sure. The nascent soul cultivator smiled apologetically. This disciple only knows that the sect has recently been gathering suitable heirs to prepare for a rare disciple selection. Selection my ass. Wen Qingfan was enraged when he heard this. If we can't find any disciples and don't have suitable cultivation techniques, what's the point of cultivating? A late Golden Core stage disciple beside him mustered up his courage and whispered, "Family head, this disciple has been thinking for a long time. In this entire Yilin continent, I'm afraid that only the Alliance Master of the Tao Alliance would be worthy of this neon sky welcome. Could it be Family Head? Then that's even more ridiculous. Wen Qingfan was even angrier when he heard this. He raised his hand and pointed at the crowd with his folding fan. If anyone dares to mention the Tao Alliance to me in the future, I'll wring your heads off. However, before Wen Qingfan could finish speaking, a powerful sense of the soul appeared out of nowhere. It swept past Wen Qingfan and the disciples of the Wen family, locking onto them immediately. At the same time, a voice that Wen Qingfan was familiar with rang out in the sky. Wen Qingfan, what's wrong with the Tao Alliance? Are you in the right for not attending the Alliance meeting on time? Wen Qingfan turned pale with fright. He looked incredulously at the huge transmission channel that appeared in the sky and cried out, Vice Alliance Master, why are you here? You wouldn't use the land transmission bridge for this junior to come to Coiling Dragon Mountain to denounce me, right? Under Wen Qingfan's gaze, the void channel rapidly shrank and turned into the shape of a bridge. The void at the end of the bridge was extremely distorted, and a small door gradually took shape. Following Wen Qingfan's voice, Ji Yan, Old Man Gu Qiong, and the others stepped out of the door. When the last fairy Mo Yun flew out, the entire door let out a thunderous roar and slowly collapsed. A thunderous roar echoed in the depths of the collapsed space. Is the puny Wen clan worth this old man's anger? Ji Yan landed in front of Wen Qingfan and looked disdainfully at him. He then looked at the woman who lowered her head and didn't dare to look up. He said coldly, I can expel your Wen clan from the Tao Alliance with a single word. Why would I have to chase you all the way to Coiling Dragon Mountain to denounce you? Old Man Gu Qiong didn't have the patience and asked directly, Wen Qingfan, is Zhang Xiaohua on Coiling Dragon Mountain? Who is Zhang Xiaohua? Wen Qingfan didn't dare to look into Ji Yan's eyes. He thought for a moment and hurriedly answered Old Man Gu Qiong's question. Damn it! Old Man Yi cursed. Wen Qingfan, didn't you receive the Tao Alliance's order? That. Wen Qingfan stammered, I didn't make it to the Alliance meeting. But I was expelled by the Tao Alliance, so I didn't rush back. I visited a few good friends and I just rushed back to Coiling Dragon Mountain. Who's in charge of the Wen clan now? Old Man Yi asked again. Fourth ancestor Wen Zhou. Wen Qingfan seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly answered, however, I heard from the disciples that a distinguished guest just arrived. The fourth ancestor used the neon sky welcome guest that the Wen clan hasn't used for a long time. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it a recommendation vote, collect it, or tip it. Chapter 49:12. Just as I thought. Ji Yan laughed heartily. It seems we came at the right time. We caught up with Zhang Xiaohua as soon as she arrived at Coiling Dragon Mountain. Wen Qingfan, send the order to seal off all teleportation formations in the Wen clan. No one is to activate them without my order. Yes. Wen Qingfan hurriedly replied, but then he whispered, Vice Alliance leader, my sect token is... The Yi clan's patriarch scolded, Wen Qingfan, are you really drunk or just pretending? Are you the Wen clan's patriarch, or is the sect token the Wen clan's patriarch? There's a great merit in front of you. Once the teleportation formations are sealed, perhaps the Alliance leader will be merciful and withdraw his order to expel the Wen clan from the Tao Alliance. Yes, I understand. Wen Qingfan was pleasantly surprised and hurriedly ordered, Wen Dai, send the order to seal off all teleportation formations. Without the Vice Alliance leader's order, no one is to activate them. Otherwise, they will be killed without mercy. How could that nascent soul cultivator, who had always been kind to DD, dare to say anything? He ordered a few disciples to seal off the teleportation formations and led the other disciples into the sky to send the message. Seeing the disciples leave, Wen Qingfan hurriedly waved his hand at the so-called apricot flower fairy, indicating that she should stay here. He then respectfully said to Ji Yan, Alliance leader, Wen Zhou must have just invited fellow Taoist Zhang Xiaohua to the meeting hall. Why don't we teleport over? No hurry. Ji Yan nodded at Fairy Mo Yun, the Yi clan's patriarch, Wanderer Fu Bo, Yu Hongzi, and the others. They all nodded and teleported to various places in Coiling Dragon Mountain. Ji Yan smiled and said, "Since fellow Taoist Zhang has already arrived at Coiling Dragon Mountain, we naturally have to use a safe method to meet him. It won't be too late for us to meet him in the meeting hall after all the teleportation formations in Yurwen clan are closed." When Qing Fan had no idea what perfected Ji Yan was talking about, nor did he know who Zhang Xiaohua was. However, since fourth ancestor Wen Zhou treated him as an honored guest and the Dao Alliance master valued him so highly, how could he dare to say anything when 6 late-stage tribulation passing cultivators came to stop him? He could only say embarrassedly, "Yes, yes. Junior will follow Lord Alliance Master's orders." "Come with me." Old man Gu Qiong said calmly, "We'll talk as we fly." "Yes, sir." When Qing Fan smiled apologetically as he stood behind the 2 alliance heads. After asking a few questions, old man Gu Qiong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Qing Fan, hurry up and send word to the leaders of the expedition to the Fengyan Kingdom." When Qing Fan was stunned. "He's already back?" "Sigh, you muddle-headed patriarch." Old man Gu Qiong couldn't help but curse. When Old Monkey was still alive, Yurwen clan was a prominent figure in the Violet Chin Immortal Alliance. Wasn't the alliance master of the Violet Chin Immortal Alliance the Old Monkey? But now, not only are you no longer the leader of the alliance, you've even been expelled from the Dao Alliance. If you've committed a serious offense, I'm willing to sacrifice my own reputation to speak up for you on account of the Old Monkey. But it's just a little late. How do you expect this old man to give up this face? Perfected Ji Yan knew that the old monkey, old man Gu Qiong was referring to was Wen Ho, the former patriarch of the Wen clan. Back then, Wen Ho was an all-powerful figure in the Dao Alliance and was known as Lord Marquis. However, old man Gu Qiong and the other cultivators who were close to him called him Old Monkey. Perfected Ji Yan didn't know that old man Gu Qiong had such a close relationship with the former patriarch of the Wen clan. Upon hearing old man Gu Qiong mention Old Monkey, Wen Qing Fan couldn't help but feel sour. He knelt down in the air and kowtowed. "Junior is unfilial and has made Senior worry." "Junior, get up. You don't have to do this. You're also a faction master." Old man Gu Qiong hurriedly helped Wen Qing Fan up as if he was looking at his own child. "If you have any difficulties, you can tell me or Senior Ji Yan." "Actually," Wen Qing Fan's face turned red. After a moment of hesitation, he said in a low voice, "Junior doesn't have any difficulties. It's just that Lord Marquis is too famous and I can't compare to him. I feel too much pressure." "Ha!" Old man Gu Qiong looked at Perfected Ji Yan, and both of them laughed. Wen Qing Fan's thoughts were similar to the thoughts of many of their juniors. They were the supreme cultivators of the Dao Alliance, and their juniors couldn't surpass them no matter how hard they tried. Under such circumstances, their juniors might be dispirited or motivated, and Wen Qing Fan obviously belonged to the former. "You are you, and Old Monkey is Old Monkey. You just have to be yourself. What others think has nothing to do with you," Perfected Ji Yan said. Wen Qing Fan said respectfully, "Junior sometimes thinks the same, but the spiritual energy in heaven and earth is changing, and the immortal cultivation sects are struggling to cope with it. Our immortal cultivation clans are having a hard time, and I don't think I can shoulder this burden." "So you ran away from it? So you indulged in wine and women?" Perfected Ji Yan scolded. Wen Qing Fan's face turned red, and he almost groaned. "Junior won't dare to do it again. This is the worst era." Old man Gu Qiong lamented as he looked at Coiling Dragon Mountain in the distance. Under the sunlight, rays of golden light reflected from the palaces on Coiling Dragon Mountain. At the same time, this is also the best era. In the future, you'll definitely be more famous than Old Monkey. "Junior?" Wen Qing Fan was shocked and said anxiously, "How can I compare to Lord Marquis? Take a look at this." Old man Gu Qiong gave Wen Qing Fan the Dao Alliance's alliance token, the spirit root selection method, and the spirit root cultivation method. Wen Qing Fan glanced at it, and his whole body trembled. He said in surprise, "This? Senior Zhang is Zhang Xiaohua?" That's right. She's Zhang Xiaohua, whom your Wen clan met in the Fengyan Kingdom. She's currently in your Wen clan's meeting hall. Perfected Ji Yen nodded. Think about it. If the Chanhe sect is the origin of the spirit root selection method, then isn't your Wen clan the origin of the spirit root cultivation method? Junior? Junior understands. Wen Qingfan replied excitedly, as if he could already see the Wen clan's bright future. As for Xiaohua, he stepped into the teleportation array. Buzz. The movement inside the teleportation array was no different from what Xiaohua had expected. Moreover, it didn't last for long. In just a few breaths, Xiaohua felt a light flash in front of his eyes as he entered another space. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it a tip, and Chapter 49:13. Because they were teleported in Panlong Mountain, the distance was very short. Even Nuo Yeqing, who was in the foundation establishment stage, didn't feel any special discomfort. When Xiaohua stepped out of the teleportation channel, Nuo Yeqing was already standing firmly in the air with Lu Qingyu's help. However, when Xiaohua stood in the air and looked around, his expression immediately changed. This space was very large, probably hundreds of miles. In the distance, different lights flashed, and at the same time, there were different spiritual power fluctuations. Obviously, there were different restrictions. Looking at Xiaohua and the others, there were nearly 100,000 children sitting cross-legged. These children were like when Zhou said, the youngest was 2 or 3 years old, and the oldest was only 14 or 15 years old. These children were divided into 49 areas. These areas looked a little messy, but in fact they were orderly. In the middle of the areas, there were some disciples of the Wen family. These disciples were mostly in the foundation establishment stage. Different from the children, these disciples didn't sit cross-legged, but stood in various places. But strangely, these disciples stood like clay sculptures, motionless, and even a few of them seemed to be walking. Looking at the surroundings, although there were many flashes of light that illuminated the space, after the flashes of light, faint crimson blood threads seeped out like mercury flowing down the ground. In particular, under the children, there were other areas. The dense blood seals, which ordinary cultivators couldn't detect at all, were clearly seen in Xiaohua's eyes. Xiaohua's expression changed greatly. Without any hesitation, he waved his hand and took out the Kunlun mirror. He hurriedly shouted, Nuo Yeqing, listen to my command, don't resist, we've been ambushed. After that, Xiaohua's mind was like the wind. He immediately swept towards Lu Qingyu, Yuehua, and Nuo Yeqing, wanting to put the three of them into the space. Unfortunately, whether it was Nuo Yeqing, Lu Qingyu, or Yuehua, they just landed in the space. They just saw the situation of the space and didn't find anything strange. Although Xiaohua had ordered, they didn't know how to cooperate. Xiaohua's mind swept over them, but he couldn't put them into the space. Haha. In the distance, when Zhou's voice sounded like an owl, after entering the blood formation, you still want to get out alive? Zhang Xiaohua, you're too naive. How could Xiaohua be long-winded with Wenzhou? His divine thought turned into a hammer. Even Lu Qingyu and Yuehua, who were as strong as the gold core stage, couldn't withstand it and fainted. After putting Lu Qingyu and the others into the space, Xiao hurriedly swept his mind, wanting to put the children and the Wen family disciples in the formation. However, Lu Qingyu and the others had just disappeared from the space. The shadows rushed, not only drowning nearly 100,000 children and disciples, but also rushed towards Xiaohua like a poisonous pythons. Puff, 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 puff. However, the moment the demonic rune shadows submerged the children's bodies, the bodies of the nearly 100,000 children and hundreds of Wen family disciples immediately burst like bubbles. Blood mixed with flesh and blood filled the space like a tidal wave. But A's is A's, as blood's blood is? But was, S's blood's T, S, A's, S's. Boom, boom, boom. As the demonic patterns rushed out, the various restrictions in the space also let out explosive sounds. After the fluctuations of the Tao sect Dharma array were annihilated, hundreds of demonic arrays were activated. Ah! Countless cries came from all over the space. Within the blood array and the demonic array, the cries of children and the screams of the Wen family disciples could be heard one after another. Every soul was struggling in the waves of blood. What was special was that near these souls, thumb-sized blood droplets had already condensed and were spinning around. Looking at the other demonic arrays, there were also many blood droplets moving restlessly. Damn it! Xiaohua was unable to restrain his anger. His eyes were red as he looked into the distance. Nearly 100,000 children had been killed in front of him. This was something that had never happened before. Although Xiaohua understood in his heart that these children had probably died before he entered the space. But what's going on? When Zhou saw the soaring demonic patterns wreaking havoc in the space, but when the countless demonic pattern phantoms collided with Xiaohua's body, he didn't see any special changes in Xiaohua's body, nor did he see any blood shadow flying out, let alone his body collapsing. Wen Zhou couldn't help but be startled. However, Wen Zhou wasn't particularly surprised. His figure swayed, and it was as if he didn't exist in the sky full of blood shadows. Then he opened his mouth. Woo! A column of blood light spurted out, and it turned into hundreds of tentacles that fell in all directions. Where the tentacles landed, beads of blood began to rapidly gather, and the howling souls were gradually torn apart. Xiaohua had already released his divine sense, and when he had collected the moonlight, he had wanted to pull a few Fortune Gate disciples out. However, seeing how powerful the spatial devil formation was, and when Zhen was a grand ascension stage cultivator, Xiaohua was afraid that the Fortune Gate disciples would be harmed, which was why he had hesitated. Now that he saw Wen Zhou activating the spatial devil formation, he hurriedly circulated his magic power to stop him. Unfortunately, the spatial devil formation had already isolated Xiaohua's scattered nascent soul and Dao seed, so he couldn't activate it. What could he do now? Seeing the souls disappearing one after another, Xiaohua didn't dare to overthink. He quickly released his netherworld origin force, and his divine sense swept through the spatial devil formation like a hurricane. Wen Zhou. Xiaohua pretended to move his body and shouted in exasperation, I have no enmity with you. It doesn't matter if you are the Wen family's old ancestor or a demon, it has nothing to do with me. Moreover, your bullshit spatial devil formation seems to have taken shape. It doesn't matter whether I'm here or not. Why do you have to drag me to my death? Wen Zhou, like Xiaohua, was fully focused on activating the spatial devil formation, so he ignored Xiaohua. A moment later, dozens of large and small vortexes appeared in the spatial devil formation. These vortexes emitted whimpering sounds, and the suction force gradually increased, enveloping the entire spatial devil formation. Only then did Xiaohua's figure stop moving. He coldly looked at Xiaohua and said, since you know that I'm a devil, you should know that, whether it's the Dao Alliance or the Heaven Alliance, they're all food in my devil race's eyes. Tell me who would like powerful food. With the changes in heaven and earth's spiritual energy, the Dao Alliance and the Heaven Alliance's high-level cultivators are dying and the low-level cultivators are unable to cultivate. This Yi-Lin mainland will soon become a paradise for my devil race. And now you, a little fellow who came out of nowhere, has appeared. You actually brought some spirit root technique, and can even allow humans with spirit roots to cultivate. If I don't kill you, who else can I kill? Vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, donate it, and thank you for all forms of support. Thank you for the support represented by Benben, Cabbage, Taoist Xiao, Chuan Tong, Lonesome Flourishing Fleeting, and Chuan Chuan's Dad. Chapter 49:14. Xiaohua quietly collected the soul, but his mouth cursed again. So you had already arranged all of this when you received Wen Zhen's message. That's right. Wen Zhou's eyes were already blood red, and his face was covered with veins. The veins were similar to demonic patterns, and they spread all over his body. I've been scheming to set up this blood formation, but I didn't have any excuse. At this time, the Dao Alliance meeting was held, and the Wen clan's patriarch left. I naturally came out of seclusion and took over the clan's power. But that's not enough. I still have to successfully refine the most important million-spirit blood pearl without leaving a trace. Now that your spiritual root selection method has appeared, it's really laughable. Look at how overjoyed the Wen clan's disciples were. How could they know that they had personally sent their own juniors to their deaths? Damn it! Xiao Hua cursed in his heart, but he didn't dare to stop. He wanted to save more human wandering souls before the blood formation was completed. Zhang Xiaohua, do you know? When Zhou didn't seem to notice the disappearance of the soul and only sneered, I've been waiting for you until my heart ached. If you don't come, how can I complete my plan? Are you so sincere in killing me? Xiaohua spoke to Wen Zhou while looking around, as if looking for a flaw in the demonic formation. Wen Zhou laughed, you don't have to look. When you came in, I already sealed the space formation. With your strength, you can't go out. All right, since I'm going to die, I'll die knowing. Xiaohua withdrew his gaze and looked at Wen Zhou, saying, isn't it just the spiritual root selection method? You want to kill I with your own hands so much? That's not it. The blood veins around Wen Zhou continued to spread, and he said, before I see the heavenly plum token and the golden core cultivation method, it doesn't matter whether I kill you or not. But I need you to come because I want to activate the blood formation. Without any pretense, wouldn't the Wen clan be aware of this blood formation? If you don't come, how can I scatter the blood fiend? When Xiaohua heard this, he immediately thought of the scarlet light in the sky. However, he still asked curiously, what's the heavenly plum token? Why did you have to destroy it? Ha! When Zhou burst into laughter, and a blood mist suddenly appeared around him. The blood tattoos that had covered his entire body turned into devil tattoos, and numerous thumb-sized devil heads poked their heads out of the devil tattoos, squeaking and squeaking. The aura of an early Grand Ascension stage cultivator suddenly surged into the Devil Emperor stage, and was comparable to a peak 8th grade Origin Energy Realm cultivator. When Zhou even opened his bloody mouth and shouted, Zhang Xiaohua, don't think this old man doesn't know what you're trying to do. You're far too bold. Not only did you not try to escape from this old man's demonic array space, you even tried to secretly collect wandering souls. Could it be that you really have 3 heads and 6 arms? However, even if you have 3 heads and 6 arms, this old man will still kill you. Damn it! Xiaohua cursed when he heard that Wen Zhou had exposed his intentions. He circulated his magic power and fled far away. At the same time, he controlled the Netherworld Origin Force to collect the last of the wandering souls into the inside of the space. Seeing that Xiaohua's escape technique was similar to his cultivation realm, Wen Zhou's figure blurred, appearing behind Xiaohua in the blink of an eye. His hand grabbed out, and layers of devil flames mixed with strands of blood-red light condensed into a devil's palm, slamming down on Xiaohua. The devil's palm not only sealed the space several hundred zhang around Xiaohua, but hundreds of little devils also poked their heads out from the devil's palm, their mouths wide open as they pounced on Xiaohua. When Zhou's strength had risen sharply, reaching the peak of the 8th level of origin energy. Therefore, Xiaohua didn't dare to drag out the Fortune Gate's disciples. Moreover, Xiaohua's current strength was far inferior to Wen Zhou's. As the devil's palm fell, Xiaohua's flying figure slowed down as if he had fallen into a swamp. However, Xiaohua wasn't nervous at all. Sensing that the devil's palm was only a few feet away from him, he abruptly turned around and laughed. This old man doesn't have 3 heads and 6 arms, but this old man won't disappoint you. With that said, his divine sense condensed into a hammer, smashing towards the devil's palm with more power than a magic treasure. Boom! A loud explosion sounded. Although the devil's palm didn't shatter, a several zhang-wide hole appeared at the center of the devil's palm. Moreover, wherever Xiaohua's divine sense passed, the blood-red waves were scattered, and even rushed towards Wen Zhou's body. How is this possible? A human's divine sense is actually so powerful? Wen Zhou was astounded. A human's divine sense had always been devoured by the devil's blood shadows, and he had never seen a divine sense that could destroy the devil flames. While he was shocked, he didn't dare to be careless. His other hand clenched into a fist, and a blood-red bone spear appeared. He swung the bone spear with all his might, aiming at Xiaohua's divine sense. The bone spear pierced through the air, and the sound of water splashing could be heard. Xiaohua was startled and hurriedly dispersed his divine sense, but he didn't retreat. Instead, he turned into a streak of light, passing through the devil's palm and arriving in front of Wenzhou. Wenzhou was also quite capable. Seeing the strange disappearance of Xiaohua's divine sense, he already knew that Xiaohua wasn't as simple as he thought. The devil's palm swung, and the blood-red bone spear once again slashed across the blood-red sea, piercing towards Xiaohua. A puny devil emperor dares to be arrogant in front of this old man. Xiaohua wasn't nervous in the slightest when he saw the bone spear flying towards him. He sneered coldly and took out an item from his space. The moment this item appeared, the devil wind immediately pierced the bones, and the blood shadows nearby all condensed towards this item. King! A light sound rang out, and the bone spear was blocked by this item. In the midst of the sound of metal clashing, the bone spear immediately turned into powder. Not only that, after the bone spear, Wenzhou's devil arm was also pierced by this item. A burst of sizzling sounds, and the heart-wrenching cries of the devil on Wenzhou's devil arm resounded in the nearby space. Qiu Yinlu? Wenzhou was shocked and shouted, You know Ji Peng? You're the Northern Jian Devil Domain's devil commander? Damn it. Wenzhou screamed, and without any hesitation his devil body quickly retreated. The devil arm that was pierced by the Qiu Yinlu was cut off from the root, and he abandoned it. However, as the devil arm was cut off, and as the devil chi from the Qiu Yinlu forced into Wenzhou's devil body, the originally complete devil marks were broken inch by inch. Wenzhou's devil body rapidly shrank, and the devil chi also faded away. In just a moment, he was actually only at the 6th stage of the Devil King realm. So you're just a thing that looks strong on the outside but is actually weak on the inside. Xiaohua held the Qiu Yinlu in his hand and sneered, Today, you'll pay with your life. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it as a reward, and... Chapter 49:15. Hee. Of course it's easy to take this old man's life. Wenzhou panicked at first, but then he suddenly sneered, This old man never planned to leave alive. You should be worried about how you're going to escape. With that, Wenzhou's devil body suddenly exploded. Even Wenzhou's soul didn't manage to escape as it instantly turned into fragments and fell into the space. Woo-woo. A strange scene occurred again. Whether it was Wenzhou's soul fragments or the devil body's blood, just as they fell into the air, they immediately turned into hundreds of black shadows that rushed towards the surroundings of the devil formation space and disappeared. The originally monstrous blood vortexes suddenly collided with each other. In just a few breaths, all the vortexes merged into two. One was like an inverted funnel that buckled on top of the space. The huge vortex produced a suction force that wanted to pull Xiaohua up into the sky. The other vortex was similar to the one above the space, but it completely covered the bottom of the space. Similarly, a huge force was produced that wanted to pull Xiaohua down into the abyss. Under the two loopholes, the forces were balanced and Xiaohua actually stood steadily in the air. What is this damned Wenzhou planning? Xiaohua didn't believe that this was the true face of the devil formation space. He hurriedly urged his body to fly towards the edge of the devil formation. However, this devil formation space was so huge that Xiaohua's cultivation hadn't recovered yet, so he actually flew very slowly. At this moment, the blood droplets that had almost disappeared earlier suddenly appeared from the two vortexes. A total of 177,777 blood pearls enveloped the space of the demonic array, and a kind of extremely cold and evil blood energy instantly imprisoned Xiaohua. Damn it! This is the soul power of 170,000 Wen clan disciples. Xiaohua cursed, I don't know how Wenzhou collected it, but it seems this Wen clan descendant is definitely not ordinary. This Wen clan disciple's bloodline power is actually so strong. Xiaohua tried his best to move his body towards the sky, wanting to avoid this peerless blood energy. Boom! Xiaohua only flew a few dozen feet when the entire devil formation space shook. 170,000 blood droplets rapidly condensed towards the center. At the same time, outside the blood droplets, the two vortexes in the devil formation space rapidly expanded. Outside the space, there was actually the sound of mountains collapsing and the earth cracking. What kind of demonic array is this? Xiaohua was a little embarrassed and angry. No matter what, one of his avatars was still a demon venerable. Furthermore, it was a condensed body of a demon spirit from a demon array. However, no matter how he looked at it, the demon array was unfamiliar to him. It was as if he had never seen it before. That's not right. How can there be a Sumeru fruit effect in the demon race? Xiaohua suddenly had a kind of realization, but before he could make up his mind to take out the devil blade murder, rumble, an almost incomparably huge force was born from his body. Through the blood shadow, Xiaohua already understood that the vortex that was originally like a funnel suddenly turned upside down. The entire vortex surged upwards, and the suction force suddenly turned into a pushing force, combining with the suction force of the inverted funnel from before, simultaneously pushing the blood bead and Xiaohua into the tip of the vortex. We've been tricked. Xiaohua suddenly came to a realization. The true goal of this demon clan was the sky, not the ground. He had outsmarted himself. Under the huge force, Xiaohua's figure rushed into the tip of the vortex with the blood beads around him. After reaching the tip of the vortex, the blood beads that were several acres in size condensed into the size of a fist. When the blood beads crashed into the top of the vortex, a layer of strange demon runes appeared at the tip, and as soon as the blood beads entered, they instantly disappeared. Looking at the whirlpool below, it crashed into the whirlpool above like a tsunami. The blood waves collided, and the force that could tear a mountain apart immediately burst towards the surroundings of the demonic array. The demonic array instantly collapsed, and there was another layer of Tao array outside the demonic array. This array had already been destroyed when the demonic array was expanding. As for outside the Tao sect array, it was naturally the fourth mountain range of Coiling Dragon Mountain. The blood waves of the demon array were like the blood of a coiling dragon seeping out of the mountain range. The huge force was like a demon hand striking out from the depths of the earth, splitting Coiling Dragon Mountain in half, of course. Wen Qingfan would never have dreamed that such a huge change would occur in the fourth mountain range of Coiling Dragon Mountain. The fourth ancestor of the Wen clan, Wen Zhou, was actually a demon. He happily called out to old man Guqiong, "Okay, I'll ask Wen Zhen to come over now." "Okay." Old man Guqiong nodded slightly, but before he could finish speaking, he suddenly turned to look at Coiling Dragon Mountain in shock. Beside him, Yian's expression also changed and he shouted, "Oh no! Hurry!" Old man Guqiong didn't hesitate at all. With a shout, his figure flickered and he immediately disappeared. "Alliance Master!" Wen Qingfan was surprised and was about to look at Ji Yan in confusion, but Ji Yan's figure was nowhere to be seen. "That's strange. What's going on?" Wen Qingfan was puzzled. Just as he was about to teleport over, boom boom boom, an earth-shattering sound came from the Pan Long Mountain in the distance. Then, the space within a few thousand miles of the Wen clan shook. Crimson demonic light rose from the center of Coiling Dragon Mountain in front of Wen Qingfan's eyes and then spread out in all directions. Along with the demonic light, Coiling Dragon Mountain began to collapse from the bottom, and the ground around it also began to collapse. Not only that, but the moment the demonic light appeared, a celestial phenomenon appeared in the sky. Huge rings of spatial faults piled up together, hanging down from the sky at an extremely fast speed. The black and white spatial faults looked like hanging tree rings. What's going on? Wen Qingfan was shocked and hurriedly used his spiritual power to teleport toward Coiling Dragon Mountain. However, he only managed to teleport a few dozen miles before he was squeezed out of the void. The space around Coiling Dragon Mountain was sealed, and he couldn't teleport. Damn it! Wen Qingfan cursed inwardly. He didn't dare to hesitate and used his escape technique to rush toward Coiling Dragon Mountain like a meteor. Ji Yan Jinren and old man Guqiong were naturally one step ahead of Wen Qingfan, and they were already in front of the mountain. However, the powerful spatial imprisonment force prevented them from teleporting. Ji Yan Jinren released his divine sense to check the situation and said with a gloomy face, "Senior, we've been planning for so long that we forgot about the demon race. Is Zhang Xiaohua a devil clan member? The devil chi within 500 miles of Coiling Dragon Mountain is very strong. I'm afraid 100,000 creatures have been sacrificed. How could Zhang Xiaohua have so much time? Old man Gu Qiong's expression changed slightly as he looked into the distance. Although his divine sense was blocked, he could see Fairy Mo Yun, the Yi family patriarch, and the others surrounding Coiling Dragon Mountain. He said, "They should be from the Wen family." P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it a tip, and Chapter 49:16. Boom, boom. At this moment, there was a loud explosion several times louder than the previous one. The peak of Coiling Dragon Mountain was lifted, and a crimson blood bead that was dozens of miles wide rushed into the sky. Blood spirit bead? Old man Gu Qiong looked at it and exclaimed, "How can it be so big?" As soon as old man Gu Qiong finished speaking, the blood spirit bead shrank even more as it rushed into the sky. Old man Gu Qiong snorted and grabbed at the air. His huge hand grew to the size of dozens of acres and rushed into the sky to grab the blood spirit bead. However, before old man Gu Qiong's hand could get close, the demonic blood sea under Coiling Dragon Mountain exploded. The demonic array above Coiling Dragon Mountain was originally imprisoned by the demonic array, and now that it was disrupted, the space overlapped, and old man Gu Qiong's hand was torn apart by the power of space. "Stay here." Seeing that old man Gu Qiong's hand had failed to grab the blood spirit bead, Ji Yen spiritual master, Yi family patriarch, and the others roared. Several huge hands appeared from all directions and sealed the space above Coiling Dragon Mountain. However, they were too slow. When old man Gu Qiong waved his hand, the blood spirit bead had already shrunk to the size of a wicker basket and approached the spatial fault in the sky. When old man Gu Qiong's hand was torn apart, the blood spirit bead touched the spatial fault. In an instant, the blood spirit bead shrank to the size of a thumb and disappeared into the spatial fault. Then, the spatial fault shrank rapidly and turned into a black and white line. The blood spirit bead spun in the black and white line for a moment before it disappeared. At the same time, the black and white line that pierced into the sky strangely disappeared. It was only now that the seals of several supreme cultivators arrived. What they had sealed were merely some void embers. Things were far from over. After the supreme cultivators sealed the sky, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Coiling Dragon Mountain collapsed one after another, and the land nearby also collapsed. The beautiful scenery was about to be destroyed. Forget about the blood fiend spiritual pearl for now. Old man Gu Qiong made a decision after scanning the area with his divine sense. The demonic array on Coiling Dragon Mountain has collapsed, and it has triggered the power of the earth. This should be the demon race's backup plan. Once we control the demonic array, the power of the earth will disappear. All right. After receiving the order, Immortal Jiyan raised his hand and slapped the top of his head. Boom. A clear light rushed out, and a seal engraved with the word Heaven and Earth rose into the sky. Immortal Jiyan channeled his magic power, and the seal became larger than a mountain and pressed down on the eastern land. Watch this old man. The Yi clan's ancestor didn't dare to be negligent. He opened his mouth and a palm-sized jade rui flew out. Boom, boom, boom. As the Yi clan's ancestor urged his magic power, the jade rui transformed into the shape of an azure dragon and pounced towards the western land, similarly suppressing a part of the demonic array. When Zhou was only a Mahayana realm cultivator and had barely touched the Demon Emperor realm with the help of demonic patterns and demonic arrays. Under the full suppression of the two tribulation-passing cultivators, the demon race was suppressed. The mountain stopped collapsing and the earth stopped collapsing. However, streams of water seeped out from the depths of the earth. Fortunately, when Zhou had to refine the blood fiend's spiritual pearl with all his strength and didn't dare to waste a trace of blood mist. Therefore, the water that flowed out was spring water. Although it wasn't very clear, it wouldn't destroy Coiling Dragon Mountain. Wonder Fu Bo, Yu Hongzi, and Fairy Mo Yun had already summoned their natal spiritual treasures. Seeing that the demonic array was suppressed, they relaxed their vigilance. Fairy Mo Yun waved her sleeve and released a parrot. The parrot flapped its wings and flew into the void. A moment later, it appeared in front of the collapsed earth. The parrot opened its mouth and spat out a beam of orange light, which turned into a net and scattered in all directions. After 5 minutes, the orange light disappeared. The parrot squawked and flew back into the void, appearing in front of Fairy Mo Yun again. The parrot said a few words that sounded like a human and then returned to Fairy Mo Yun's sleeve. Fairy Mo Yun said, "Everyone, the demonic array under the ground has disappeared. However, there are no traces of demons or humans. There isn't even a trace of a soul." "Thank you, Fairy." Taoist Ji Yan's face was filled with anger. He didn't take back the heaven and earth seal. Instead, he said to Yi family's ancestor, "Fellow Taoist, don't worry. We'll suppress this array first and talk about it after we figure out what happened." "No problem." Yi family's ancestor looked around and replied, "Fellow Taoists, don't let down your guard. Don't let the remaining demons slip away." At this moment, Wen Qingfan flew over with an ashen face. He had to admit that the world's sorrow and joy were too unpredictable. Just a moment ago, he was still imagining the bright future of the Wen family. In just a moment, not only did the future turn into darkness, the Wen family's ancestral property was almost completely lost. If it weren't for Taoist Ji Yan and a few other supreme cultivators, Wen Qingfan wouldn't have the face to see his ancestors in the underworld even if he died. "Senior." Wen Qingfan's voice was a little hoarse as he asked anxiously, "What happened?" Taoist Ji Yan was also angry and cursed, "Damn it! Do you still have to ask me what happened to your Wen family?" Old man Gu Qiong said resentfully, "You're the Wen family's patriarch. We're guests from afar. You decide how to deal with this." Although Wen Qingfan was a little dispirited, he was still the patriarch of the Wen family. After being reprimanded by Ji Yan and old man Gu Qiong, he perked up and issued an order to the Wen family elders, Wen Qing and Wen Yushi, to lead the Wen family disciples to rescue the disciples who were in danger when Pan Long Mountain collapsed. The Wen family's disciples had been frightened out of their wits by the anomaly on Coiling Dragon Mountain. Some fled while others wandered around. Now that their patriarch had returned, they felt reassured and began to work. When the casualties became clearer, Wen Qingfan ordered Wen Zhuoqi to calm the disciples down. He also asked the steward and the deacon to discuss other emergency matters in the Wen family. When it was dark, Wen Qingfan summoned Wen Zhen and asked him about the adventure and the encounter with Zhang Xiaohua. Then, he praised Wen Zhen and called Wen Qing, Wen Yushi, and Wen Zhuoqi over to ask about everything that happened after he left the Wen family and after Zhang Xiaohua came to the conference hall. Naturally, the three elders reported everything in detail. They even told him about the heavenly plum token. The demonic array was completely suppressed. After the Wen family's disciples searched, the Yi family's patriarch and Fairy Mo Yun searched again. After making sure that they didn't miss anything, they put away their spiritual treasures and stood in the air, quietly watching Wen Qingfan deal with all the affairs. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it a recommendation vote, collect it, and give it a tip. Chapter 49:17. The Wen clan disciples heard what Wen Zhen and the three elders said, but the more they listened, the more confused they became. They really didn't understand what had happened on Coiling Dragon Mountain. "Seniors." Wen Qingfan pondered for a moment and reported, "I have some speculations. If possible, please serve me tea in the guest hall. I'll report everything to you." "No need." Old man Gu Qiong waved his hand and said, "Since the Wen clan has undergone a drastic change, we won't nag you anymore. You can speak now, there aren't any outsiders here." "Yes." Wen Qingfan replied. After organizing his thoughts, he said, "Based on what I know, there are only 2 speculations." "There are actually 2? Tell me." Ji Yan smiled and took the opportunity to ask. "First, Zhang Xiaohua is a demon." Wen Qingfan said decisively, "Her so-called spirit root selection method and spirit root cultivation method are both flawed cultivation methods. If our Tao Alliance cultivators cultivate them, it will be difficult for them to reach the greater mastery stage. There might even be a disaster. Although we can't see any flaws, we can't guard against the demon's cultivation method. When we encounter the demon, our human race will be captured. As for why Zhang Xiaohua came to our Wen clan, she met up with Wen Zhou, whose body was possessed by the demon. Then, Zhang Xiaohua perished together with Wenzhou and turned into a spirit blood pearl? Yi clan's patriarch asked sarcastically before Wen Qingfan could finish. Wen Qingfan shrugged and said seriously, as for why Zhang Xiaohua came to Coiling Dragon Mountain to cooperate with Wenzhou, this junior doesn't know. Didn't senior say earlier that there was a spirit blood pearl? With a blood fiend spirit pearl, they must have used it to escape to the devil realm. Old man Gu Qiong seemed to want to give Wen Qingfan some pointers and said, the spirit blood pearl is commonly known as the myriad spirit pearl. However, based on what I know, the real spirit blood pearl is not the ordinary myriad spirit pearl. Generally speaking, the myriad spirit pearl was made from the blood spirits of the human race. However, the blood evil spirit pearl was not only made from the blood spirits of the human race, but also from the blood spirits of the devil race, the spirit race, and other races. In other words, since the demonic array has condensed into a blood fiend spirit pearl, then within the demonic array, whether it's the human race, the devil race, or even the demonic beasts, none will survive. Furthermore, this old man and fairy Mo Yun have already investigated carefully. The demonic formation has already dissipated, and there are no traces of humans or demons nearby. Yi clan's ancestor continued. Ji Yanjinren said faintly, don't worry. Even if Zhang Xiaohua is a demon, he won't be able to escape with the help of this pearl. No matter if it was the myriad spirit pearl or the blood evil spirit pearl, only blood spirits and souls could exist in it. Humans and demons could not survive in it. So, Zhang Xiaohua would not foolishly borrow the demonic blood pearl to escape. Secondly, Zhang Xiaohua is not a demon. When Qingfan said, then it's very interesting that when Zhou killed Zhang Xiaohua. In other words, Zhang Xiaohua's luck is extremely bad. I know the effect of the neon sky welcoming the guest. There was no red light around Coiling Dragon Mountain, so that light must have been activated by the demonic array. When Zhou waited for Zhang Xiaohua to come here to deceive others. Well, your analysis is right. That's the reason. Elder Gu Qiong nodded with a smile. Anything else? Then, when Qingfan glanced at Elder Gu Qiong with a bitter expression and said, since Zhang Xiaohua is a human, no matter whether he is a cultivator of the Heaven Alliance or the Tao Alliance, he has mastered the secret method to modify the cultivation methods of the Tao Alliance. He has become the hope of the Tao Alliance. In order to kill the Tao Alliance, when Zhou lured Zhang Xiaohua and the others into the demonic array and killed them. Ji Yanjinren was shocked and hurriedly asked, what do you mean, Wen Qingfan? Didn't Wen Zhou kill Zhang Xiaohua for the Heavenly Plum Token? Wen Qingfan explained, the Heavenly Plum Token is important, but it's only important to the Wen family. It's not important to the entire Tao Alliance. I've read the Alliance Master's Jade Slip and know that he has obtained the cultivation methods modified by Zhang Xiaohua. However, most of them are for qi refinement, and only one is for foundation establishment. I heard from Wen Qing that Zhang Xiaohua has finished modifying the foundation establishment cultivation method and is now modifying the golden core cultivation method. However, these cultivation methods... Damn it! Ji Yanjinren was furious. Wen Zhou must have taken these cultivation method jade slips and the Heavenly Plum Token and destroyed them in the demonic array. Moreover, he killed fellow Taoist Zhang, who knows how to modify the cultivation methods. That's right. When Qingfan said helplessly, I gave the sect token to Wen Zhou. He has the authority to deal with any affairs in the sect. When was Wen Zhou possessed by the demon clan? Don't tell me you don't know anything about it? Elder Gu Qiong asked harshly. Wen Qingfan trembled, but he answered honestly, I really don't know. Didn't you leave any jade slips behind? The Yi family's patriarch looked at Wen Qing and the other elders and asked unwillingly. Wen Qing smiled wryly. Senior, we were overjoyed when we saw the Heavenly Plum Token. Then, we remembered that Senior Zhang had arrived at Coiling Dragon Mountain and given the cultivation method jade slips to the fourth ancestor. We would see them sooner or later, that? At this moment, Wen Zhen, who couldn't get close due to his shallow cultivation, raised his hand and timidly shouted, Seniors, Junior has some copies of jade slips, swoosh? Before Wen Zhen could finish, Ji Yanjinren teleported to his side and raised his hand. Give them to me. Yes, yes. Wen Zhen agreed, but he didn't take them out. He only looked at Wen Qingfan. Don't worry. Elder Gu Qiong said with a smile. If this cultivation method is useful, the Dao Alliance will let your family head rejoin the Dao Alliance and reward your Wen family generously. Give it to Senior Ji Yan. Wen Qingfan hurriedly urged Wen Zhen. Ji Yanjinren took the jade slips from Wen Zhen, but he didn't read them immediately. Instead, he copied them and gave them to Elder Gu Qiong and the others. Then, he released his divine telekinesis to read them. Ugh. Ji Yanjinren was so happy that he couldn't help but howl at the sky. His howl shattered the dark clouds in the night sky, and moonlight poured down like water. Damn it! Ji Yanjinren scolded jokingly. These are all the Qi refinement and foundation establishment cultivation methods, as well as a few golden core cultivation methods. It seems to be more complete than what Wen Qingfan said. Why did you copy them secretly? P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it a recommendation vote, collect it, or give it a tip. Chapter 49:18. To tell you the truth, after Senior Zhang gave this cultivation technique to the family head, I realized it would be very difficult for me to get it again. Wen Zhen explained embarrassedly, so, this junior secretly made a copy of the cultivation technique while discussing it with Senior Zhang. Senior Zhang is a very nice person, and he knows this junior's thoughts. Sometimes, he doesn't need this junior to make a copy, and he gives this junior 2 copies. Alas, the ancients are right. Only when you lose something do you realize how precious it is. Old man Gu Qiong sighed and said, previously, we were discussing fellow Zhang Xiaohua's background. Now it seems that no matter whether he was from the Dao Alliance, the Heaven Alliance, or the Lost Land, he is still a cultivator of our Dao sect. As long as he can help us modify our cultivation techniques and allow our Dao sect to survive and develop under the change of heaven and earth spirit Qi, who will be our Dao sect's savior. Unfortunately, fellow Taoist Zhang has fallen. Taoist Ji Yan also sighed, but he still raised the jade slip in his hand and said, fortunately he left behind some cultivation techniques before he died. Not only can we let our juniors practice these cultivation techniques, but we can also use them as a blueprint to understand his method of modifying cultivation techniques and modify more cultivation techniques. Taoist Ji Yan looked at Wen Qingfan and said, of course, these cultivation technique jade slips were obtained from the Wen family by the Dao Alliance. I'll issue an Alliance Master Token to let the Wen family make amends for their mistakes and reward them generously. Thank you for your help, seniors. Wen Qingfan hurriedly bowed. Get up. Old man Gu Qiong helped Wen Qingfan up and said with a smile, Qingfan, from the way you handled the sex affairs, I can see that you are not incompetent. In fact, you are very capable and can be considered a competent family head. The old monkey did nothing wrong by handing the Wen family to you. However, you are still not confident. Confidence is the foundation of everything. Only with confidence can you do things well. Only with confidence can you be a good family head. Perhaps you don't know this, but the old monkey once told me about you and the origin of your name. The word, ordinary, is because he knows that you are a little introverted. Compared to those who show off their abilities, you are too ordinary. However, he specially asked your father to add the word, Qing, to your name. As long as you take on any ordinary task, you will succeed. Wen Qingfan didn't expect his name to have such a history. He couldn't help but burst into tears. How was he a Mahayana cultivator? Alright, it's time for me to leave. Get the Wen family disciples to activate the teleportation array. Old man Gu Qiong helped Wen Qingfan up with a smile and said, the Wen clan has many things to do now. Moreover, you've made a great contribution, so you have to deal with it well. Don't disappoint me. However, old man Gu Qiong felt that his words were inappropriate and he waved his hand. My thoughts have nothing to do with you. If you have any difficulties, feel free to look for me. Yes, this junior understands. Wen Qingfan shed tears of gratitude and was about to bow again when old man Gu Qiong's figure flickered and disappeared. Ji Yan and the others had already teleported away to follow old man Gu Qiong. Farewell, seniors. When Qing Fan didn't dare to be rude and hurriedly issued the sect master's order to activate the teleportation array. Teleportation consumed one's lifespan, so old man Gu Qiong and the others had only flown for a few hundred kilometers before they reappeared. When Ji Yan was looking for a teleportation array, the Yi family's patriarch sighed and said, "Fellow Taoist Ji Yan, do you think fellow Taoist Zhang died in the demonic array?" Ji Yan naturally understood the Yi family's patriarch's reluctance and asked in return, if it were fellow Taoist Yi, how confident would he have been in escaping? "Naturally, I have a 60% chance of escaping," Yi clan's elder replied without any hesitation. "But in reality?" Perfected Ji Yan raised his hand and pointed in a direction. He flew slowly and asked, "Did you see the corpses of Zhang Xiaohua, O Yuehua of the Chan He sect, Lu Qingyu, and Nu O Yeching in the ruins of the demon array?" The Yi family's patriarch replied. Fairy Mo Yun also said, "That's right. Although fellow Taoist Zhang is a peerless scholar, he broke into this realm and lost all his magic power. He wanted to rely on Yuehua and Lu Qingyu, two golden core cultivators, to protect him. How could he have escaped from the demonic array?" Yizhen said 60%, but that was an estimate when he faced the demonic array directly. Old man Gu Qiong said, "I heard from the Wen family's elders that even they couldn't tell that Wen Zhou was a demon. How could fellow Taoist Zhang have known?" Caught off guard, even with Yizhen's ability, he only had a 40% chance. Moreover, didn't Ji Yan say at the Alliance conference that more than 2 million people had died? Nearly 2 million disciples from the various clans of our Dao Alliance have already been killed. If my guess is correct, the Wen clan should be one of those clans as well. Not a single one of those clans' disciples managed to escape alive. I'm afraid that fellow Taoist Zhang is most likely doomed as well. Wonder Fu Bo, who had been silent all this time, said, "I don't want to believe that Zhang Xiaohua has died, but it's the truth. It's useless for us to say more." Yu Hongzi also echoed, "That's right. Fellow Taoist Zhang has died, so it's up to us now. There are countless capable people in the Dao Alliance. Since we have the method to select spiritual roots and cultivate low-grade spiritual roots, I'm sure it won't be long before we have more cultivation techniques that can adapt to the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Yes, there's no need for the Alliance leader to search for fellow Taoist Zhang anymore." Ji Yan Jinren nodded and said, "Let's make this cultivation technique public and let them find a way to modify it. We'll continue to the Heaven Alliance's forbidden area. Also, we'll look around carefully to see if we can find any traces of the demon's attack." As they spoke, they arrived at the Wen family's teleportation array. After the Wen family's disciples activated the teleportation array, they entered the teleportation channel and headed to the Heaven Alliance as planned. Naturally, no human, demon, or spirit body could be stored in the spiritual blood pearl. However, Xiaohua's body was constructed by the laws of heaven and earth. How could it be an ordinary body? Just as the Dao Alliance believed that Xiaohua had perished, Xiaohua activated his fiend body to fight against the 177,777 souls within the baleful blood pearl, as well as that incomparably powerful teleportation energy. And just as the blood fiend spirit pearl rushed from the coiling Dragon Mountain's demonic array into the collapsed black and white silhouette, a power of teleportation that Xiaohua was familiar with came crashing down from above his head like a giant mountain, firmly pressing down on his body. This kind of enormous power far exceeded the power of ordinary teleportation. Although this power was not as vast as the power of the realm, it was still difficult for Xiaohua to resist. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it as a reward, and thank you, Cabbage. I'll update these few chapters for you. Chapter 49-19. And what was special was that under the power of transmission, the hundreds of thousands of blood beads began to strangely revolve within the space of the spirit blood bead. The power of hundreds of thousands of tiny soul beads gathered together, forming an unparalleled strength that Xiaohua couldn't match. It was doing its best to extract something from Xiaohua's body. Xiaohua felt that his bloodline, body, and even soul were showing signs of collapsing. He couldn't help but activate his demonic technique and reveal his demon god Dharma idol. But even so, the soul power didn't decrease much. Extremely large amounts of soul power entered Xiao Hua's demonic body like invisible threads. Strange. Xiao Hua was somewhat puzzled. I seem to have collected the souls of hundreds of thousands of Wen clan disciples. Why do these blood beads still have soul power? Could this be the reason why the demons wanted to take over Wen Zhou's body and borrow the bloodline of the Wen clan disciples? Thinking of the bloodline, Xiao Hua was suddenly startled. After careful examination, he shouted in his heart, "Damn it! This isn't just pure soul power. And the soul power is just the surface. Under this power, there's even more bloodline power mixed in. Damn it, there's definitely something wrong with the Wen clan. That Tianmei token must have an extraordinary background. But how can it be possible to trap me with the bloodline power of hundreds of thousands of ordinary cultivators?" Immediately, Xiao Hua activated the demonic flames around him to contend with the bloodline power. It seemed that Xiao Hua still underestimated the bloodline power of the Wen clan disciples. After holding on for less than an hour, not only did the power of teleportation not weaken, it actually strengthened. Under the power of teleportation, the bloodline power of the demonic blood beads became even more fierce, forcing Xiao Hua's demonic body to collapse again. Damn it! Xiao Hua secretly clenched his teeth. I haven't recovered my strength yet, so I don't dare to activate the demonic technique too much. But now that the blood beads are so powerful, I have to take the risk. Thinking of this, Xiao Hua sneered. The demonic flames around his body soared into the sky, and the strands of blood-red light fell, forming thumb-sized vortexes. Within those vortexes, the sinister blood demons were rapidly growing larger. Xiao Hua first refined the power of the blood bead to protect himself, but in the end, the transmission power showed no sign of weakening at all. After more than 10 days, Xiao Hua was greatly alarmed. He desperately urged the demonic power, shouting madly in his heart, "Damn it, this million spirits blood bead won't be transmitted to the demonic world, will it? It wasn't easy for me to get to the Yi-Lin continent. If I were to break out again, how long would it take for me to come back? Big brother, where did so much blood spirit chi come from?" Just as Xiao Hua was about to refine the million spirits blood pearl into his demonic body, Mo Zunsher's voice suddenly sounded. Damn it! Hearing the voice of the demon Zun, Xiao Hua's heart moved and he involuntarily cursed in a low voice. Since the Tao Master's shadow appeared and gifted Xiao Hua with the Tao seed, Xiao Hua's original body and all his doppelgangers started to become complete under the influence of the Tao seed's power of law. Although Xiao Hua anxiously hoped that his doppelgangers could recover as soon as possible, the demon venerable was definitely not the first one he hoped for. No matter if it was Feng Wu or the Thunderbolt Immortal, these doppelgangers were all doppelgangers that Xiao Hua had truly split from his primordial spirit. Even Huang Tong was also a doppelganger that Xiao Hua had split from his primordial spirit and cultivated using the phoenix celestial body. Only this demon venerable was not Xiao Hua's real primordial spirit. It was only refined by Xiao Hua using the blood shadow technique. Moreover, the demon venerable's original body was the demon spirit of the demon array. Although the demon venerable and Xiao Hua's minds were connected, Xiao Hua always felt that there would be a day when the demon venerable could not control himself. At this time, Xiao Hua's strength had not recovered, and the other doppelgangers had not awakened yet. However, the demon venerable had awakened first. This could not help but arouse Xiao Hua's vigilance. Xiao Hua sighed and replied, "I have fallen into the trap of a human clan cultivator who had been possessed by the demon clan." With that, Xiao Hua told the whole story to the demon venerable in his heart. Hearing this, the demon venerable was furious and said anxiously, "Big brother, I have said earlier that you are too kind. Of course, I am not saying that being kind is wrong, but if you are so kind to everyone, who knows what other people are thinking? Moreover, you have just fallen into the trap, so you should have a way to leave the demon array. After all, refining the blood demon's spiritual pearl requires the help of the right time, place, and people. With the strength of that Wenzhou **********, it is impossible for him to make it so seamless. If you did not care about those Wen clan disciples who were killed, you and I would definitely be able to escape. Speaking to hear, the demon venerable suddenly woke up and shouted, "That's not right, why can't I move? You followed I into the Lin continent. Our bodies were destroyed by the power of the boundary between the two worlds, and now we are slowly recovering." Xiaohua replied indifferently. Damn it. The demon venerable's curses were no different from Xiaohua's. This kind of snail-like recovery, how long will it take for me to recover to my original state? This is nothing. Xiaohua replied. When I just broke the boundary, you were just seeds. Now that you have recovered to the point of awakening, it is already not bad. Demon Venerable, how do you feel now? The Demon Venerable was silent for a while, then suddenly laughed wildly. Hey, big brother, thank you so much. Hearing the Demon Venerable's sudden gratitude, and the big brother, from the bottom of his heart, Xiaohua suddenly felt that he was too stingy. The Demon Venerable was somewhat annoying, but these actions were his nature as a demon. If the Demon Venerable's actions were similar to that of Nanwu Methriya, then would he still be the Demon Venerable? Moreover, in terms of strength, after returning from the upper realm, the Demon Venerable's strength was once at the forefront of all his doppelgangers, but he never showed this to his doppelgangers, and always called them Big Brother. How was this still the Demon Venerable? Sometimes, when facing the disdain of celestial beings and Reverend Yun's displeasure, the Demon Venerable did not dare to show any dissatisfaction, and always had a smiling face. The Demon Venerable might not be able to defeat Reverend Yun, but of course, his strength was stronger than celestial beings. Of course, this did not exclude the possibility that the Demon Venerable was afraid of Xiaohua killing him, but according to Xiaohua's current thoughts, the Demon Venerable liked these doppelgangers who shared the same origin as him more than he feared him. Previously, when he was in the upper realm, he had a lot of misunderstandings about Buddha Methriya. Of course, it was because of the influence of the heavenly demon, but more importantly, it was because he did not trust himself. He had already misunderstood Buddha Methriya, so why couldn't he give the Demon Venerable more trust? Xiaohua's mind was full of thoughts, but the Demon Venerable did not know. Xiaohua laughed again. Oh? What's wrong? What's there to thank? P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, give a monthly vote, a recommendation vote, a collection, a tip, and thank all forms of support. Thank you, Cabbage. These few chapters have been updated for you. Chapter 4920. Big Brother, before this, I thought that my demon body was already rare in the heavens and earth. In this mortal world, I'm afraid there's no better one. Demon Sovereign sure was pleasantly surprised. But now, I don't know how to describe this demon body. Oh, right, all the other big brothers. Are they all like this? And, since you're like this, they probably won't be any worse than you. Xiaohua heard Demon Sovereign sure thinking about other clones and became even happier. He smiled and replied. Oh, that's good, that's good. Demon Sovereign sure laughed, but suddenly he was shocked again. He hurriedly said, Big brother, what's going on? How did your demon blade murder get into my body? Not to mention Demon Sovereign sure being shocked, even Xiaohua was inexplicably shocked. Demon blade murder had merged with Xiaohua's left hand from the profound water palace and had always been a part of Xiaohua's body. But this time, the breaking of the world was more dangerous than any other time. Xiaohua's body was reconstructed, condensed with the laws of heaven and earth. Xiaohua didn't feel the existence of demon blade murder before, but Xiaohua always thought that it was because his body wasn't completely repaired. He didn't expect demon blade murder to merge with Demon Sovereign Shure's body of laws. However, in just a moment, Xiaohua understood that although Demon Sovereign Shure, Sky Man, Thunder Immortal and himself had the same primordial spirit and the same laws of heaven and earth, the laws of heaven and earth were as vast as the sea. They each comprehended different laws, and thus, the laws of heaven and earth were different. Demon Sovereign Shure was from the demon race, and the laws he comprehended were the demonic side of heaven and earth. Demon blade murder was a killing and bloody demonic weapon. He didn't merge with Demon Sovereign Shure's body, but instead merged with Methriya Buddha's body. What should I do? Big brother. Demon Sovereign Shure was anxious. How can I return it to you? Why should I return it? Xiaohua laughed. You're me, I am. What's there to return? Hee hee, that's true. Big brother, I was wrong. Demon Sovereign sure laughed. Left and right, I'm also in Big Brother's body. Whenever Big Brother wants to use it, just pick it up. As he spoke, Demon Sovereign Sure's demonic sense swept around and shouted, Big Brother! How is this refining a blood spirit? If the other demons knew that this level of sacrificial refining was actually this little brother's big brother, then this little brother's face as a demon lord would be lost. Please wait for a moment. Let me show you what I can do. As he spoke, Demon Venerable Shure's primordial spirit actually wanted to seize Xiaohua's corporeal body. A few moments ago, Xiaohua absolutely would not have tolerated this. He would have even used a primordial spirit mystic technique to deal with Demon Lord Shure. But after thinking about it, Xiaohua felt different. He did not feel that Demon Lord Shure had any ill intentions. He only felt that Demon Lord Shure was like a little brother who wanted to show off his skills in front of his big brother. More importantly, he was showing off. Xiaohua smiled and retracted his consciousness, allowing Demon Venerable Shure to control his body. His consciousness entered the space, taking advantage of this gap to speed up the modification of his cultivation technique. The moment Demon Lord Shure took control of Xiaohua's body, boom boom boom. Like a volcano erupting, Xiaohua's body suddenly expanded by several times. The surface of his body was originally filled with demonic qi, but demonic flames rushed out like lava. Hundreds of demonic flames rampaged inside the blood fiend's spirit bead. Wherever the demonic flames passed, ghostly wails and howls could be heard. The power of the bloodline released by hundreds of thousands of blood beads was torn to pieces. Oh! Demon Lord Shure raised his head and roared. Opening his mouth, the shattered blood light was all sucked into his stomach. It had to be said that the same corporeal body, the same demonic technique, under the control of the human races Xiaohua and under the control of Demon Lord Shure, was completely different. It's just a mere blood bead. Big brother is too cautious. Demon Lord Shure sucked the power of the bloodline and actually burped. He grumbled in a low voice. Since Benzin woke up first, it's Benzin's good fortune. If Benzin didn't help Big Brother, when Celestial woke up, he would probably laugh at Benzin. After speaking, Demon Lord Shure's body trembled. Tens of thousands of blood-light tentacles appeared from the demonic qi. On each tentacle, there was a blood demon head, and each blood demon head had the appearance of Demon Lord Shure. Tens of thousands of blood demons laughed wildly at the same time. Passing through the space, the blood beads that were spinning disorderly all around fell. Boom boom boom. The tentacles caught all the blood beads with lightning speed. The entire blood bead space violently trembled. The previously dense blood red that filled the space gradually faded. Another half a day passed. 90% of the Wen clan's blood essence was refined. The outside of the blood bead was no longer intertwined with black, white, and blood. It already showed a faint light. At this time, weng. Vibrating sounds came from outside the blood bead. Demon Lord Shure released his demonic consciousness. However, just as his demonic consciousness came out of the blood bead, an almost unparalleled tearing force appeared strangely and tore the demonic consciousness apart. Damn it! Demon Lord Shure cursed in a low voice. His head covered by the demonic helmet revealed a pair of blood-red eyes. When Demon Lord Shure saw the situation outside the blood bead, he couldn't help but be shocked. Other than the flashing blood-red demonic patterns, it was not an ordinary scene in the human world. It was an abyss. This abyss was very different from the usual abyss. There was no silence, no extreme darkness. Above the abyss, there was a sun and a moon shining brightly. There were specks of stars, and there were layers of heavens. However, all of these phenomena were not complete. It did not look like they were in the same space. The entire abyss was like a kaleidoscope. There were countless space fragments. Above each space fragment, there was a sun, a moon, and a star. Below each sun, moon, and star was an abyss. And within these fragments, there was the power of space that ordinary cultivators could not resist. The power of space naturally intertwined, forming a space storm. Wherever the space storm passed, Not only did it tear apart the demon sovereign Shi's demon consciousness, but it also stirred up the fragments in the abyss, causing more fragments to appear in a dazzling manner. The demonic blood spirit bead fell into the abyss, and the demonic patterns on the surface of the bead appeared like water. Where the power of space landed, the demonic patterns produced a blood-red color. Within the scarlet light, the blood bead rotated, and the power of space was removed. Seeing this, Demon Lord Shi did not dare to refine the blood essence in the blood bead. At this time, the bloodline power in the blood bead was already weak, and could not pose any threat to Demon Lord Shi. Strange. Demon Lord Shi could not release his demonic consciousness, but looking at the strange abyss, he was puzzled. What is this place? It looks like it is not the demonic world. That when Zhou risked his life to teleport the demonic blood spirit bead here, what is he trying to do? Vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it a tip, and thank you for all of your support. Thank you to Blooming Blossoms Dying Blossoms for your tip. Chapter 49:21. However, after a moment, Demon Venerable Shi understood. Because although the blood fiend spiritual pearl was in the abyss, it seemed to be drifting disorderly with the spatial storm, but it was drifting in a direction, as if there was a suction force that surpassed space that was pulling the blood fiend's spiritual pearl. Ha! The demon lord laughed. Looking at the bottom of the abyss, he laughed maniacally. Looks like this lord is an uninvited guest. This lord would like to see what these demon bastards want to do here. The place where the blood fiend's spiritual pearl was drifting was an irregular spatial fragment. This spatial fragment looked no different from other spatial fragments. Its surface was uneven, and there were some strange sceneries coming from within. Moreover, when this fragment rotated with the spatial storm at the bottom of the abyss, there were also fluctuations coming from the edges of the fragment. However, occasionally, when the spatial fragment flipped, a layer of faint, almost invisible devil flame would spurt out from the point of contact between the two surfaces that seemed to have been cut by a knife. Within the demon flame, circles of black and white demon mark could be seen. The demon mark released a strange suction force that surpassed the spatial storm and landed on the demon mark on the surface of the blood fiend's spiritual pearl. What's going on? A voice that was even softer than a mosquito's sounded from the demon flame. Not to mention that the entire abyss was shrouded in spatial storms, even in the quiet night. If one did not pay attention, one would not be able to hear it. Within this irregular spatial fragment, a demon wearing a set of demon armor and with a body that was over 1,000 feet tall was looking at the pentagonal demon mark above his head. He was whispering anxiously. It was hard to tell what shape this demon had. It was neither human nor beast. There were all kinds of ferocious-looking demon heads on the demon armor. Only under the demon helmet, there was a blood-red hole that emitted cryptic demon language. We've been scheming for nearly 4,000 years and finally found 49 clans with bloodlines different from ordinary cultivators. Now, we've gathered the blood essence of nearly 9 million human cultivators from 48 clans. We're only missing the last blood evil spirit pearl condensed by the 170,000 human cultivators from the Wen clan on Coiling Dragon Mountain. We can't let anything go wrong. An obscure voice came from afar. The demon clan's demon helmet turned and looked at the other side of the space. He saw that this space was similar to the inside of the blood fiend's spiritual pearl. It was also filled with demon chi and bloody light. At the top of the space, there were 48 blood fiend spiritual pearls of different shades but identical shapes floating everywhere. Under each of the 48 blood demon spirit pearls, there was a similarly shapeless devil clan. Under the light of the blood demon spirit pearls, these devil clan members were surrounded by blood shadows. Each blood shadow swayed with the light. They were either devil clan members or devil clan members. The voice came from the mouth of a demon. Demon. The demon in demon armor looked at the demon shadow and said coldly, "Don't worry. Yu Ku's blood fiend spirit pearl has already been successfully refined, and he has already activated the blood demon push." You have already said this 7 times. One of the demon beasts snorted coldly. We are all within the blood fiend returning to Hu formation, and we can feel the power of the last blood fiend's spiritual pearl. If we didn't use the blood fiend's spiritual pearl to guide it, Do you think that Yuku's blood fiend spiritual pearl would be able to cross half of the Yi-Lin continent to reach the heaven sacrificial abyss? That's right. The problem is that the blood fiend spiritual pearl should have returned to its place long ago. The demon person who spoke earlier continued, if we miss this time, we will have to wait another 1,000 years to revive Demon Lord Ju. Speaking of Demon Lord Ju, all the demons retracted the demon flame around them and looked down. Far below them, there was a vast sea of demon chi. In the demon chi, there were blood fiend spiritual pearls flashing like fish. In the center of the demon chi, there was a demon body that was more than 10,000 feet tall. It was like an island in the sea, majestic and unmoving. Although the demon body was not complete, it could be seen clearly. This demon body looked like a cow but not a cow, like a horse but not a horse. Wasn't this the Di Luo that Xiao Hua saw in the 1,000-feet mountain cave? However, the place where the Di Luo's head used to be was now empty. An extremely dim blood fiend spiritual pearl rushed out from Di Luo's demon body and condensed into a blurry shadow in that empty place. However, a kind of chi that was as solid as a rock and as vast as the sky leaked out from this broken demon body and covered the entire space. These demons did not dare to get close to this demon body. Even when they looked at it, a kind of longing and a kind of subservience arose in their hearts. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At the moment when the demons looked at the demon body, a sea breeze seemed to blow. The vast demon chi suddenly rolled up and rushed to the sky like a storm. The astral moment has arrived. A demon in the shadow of a demon beast hurriedly said, "What should we do?" Following this sentence, the 48 demons all looked at the center of the blood fiend returning formation. There, a demon beast whose demon body was obviously bigger than the other demons was under the influence of the blood fiend returning formation. The demon flame around his body, along with the demon chi, rose to a height of nearly 1,000 feet. We're not waiting anymore. The demon beast did not hesitate at all. It seemed that he had made a decision long ago. He said, "We've sent the 48 blood fiend spiritual pearls from all over the Yi-Lin continent to this place. This has already attracted the attention of the Tao Alliance and the Heaven Alliance. If we don't activate the demon formation this time, I'm afraid we won't have another chance in the future. As for the blood fiend spiritual pearl of the Wen family, I'm afraid that if something goes wrong, the cultivators of the Tao Alliance will follow the blood fiend spiritual pearl and chase after us. Although we can't completely revive Demon Master Ju, as long as Demon Master Ju can wake up, we'll have done a great service." As the demon race spoke, the demonic aura below them began to condense into a pillar of chi that gradually extended into the sky. Above the demon race's heads, an extremely cold and dark energy was also born, passing through the fragment and entering the space. Looking at the demon master's still corpse, it seemed to have been disturbed. It actually began to sway, as if it wanted to rise. Holy! All of a sudden, the leader of the demons let out an angry roar, emitting a strange rhythm. Then, he opened his mouth, and a human-shaped blood shadow rushed out from the demonic light, directly landing on the blood fiend spirit pearl above his head. Sage. Following the demon beast leader's roar, the 46 demons were all shocked, and each of them sent the blood fiend's spiritual pearl. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The 48 blood fiend's spiritual pearls shone brightly with blood-red light, flying towards the source of the Yin energy. At the same time, the demon chi that had originally condensed into a huge pillar was also attracted by the blood fiend's spiritual pearl's blood-red light, turning into 48 demon pillars and entering the blood fiend's spiritual pearl. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it as a reward, and once again, thank you to Cabbage, Blossoming Blossom Withering Flower, East Becomes West Old, Benben, as well as all the fellow Taoists who supported the third-place winner. Chapter 49-22. Boom, boom, boom. Like meteorites landing on the ground, 48 loud sounds came from above the blood demon spirit pearl. When the Yin energy was hit by the blood demon spirit pearl, it was as if the transparent water was dyed with blood. 48 huge demonic marks suddenly appeared and then gathered above the demon ancestor's body. In just a moment, The 48 demonic marks gathered together and actually formed a demonic mark that covered the entire space. The yin energy above the demonic mark rumbled, and the demonic mark produced an indescribable fluctuation. This fluctuation tore apart the space near the demonic mark, and the demonic mark began to distort. Under the demonic mark, the bloodline power and soul power that could tear apart Xiao Hua's body condensed together. Following the distortion of the demonic mark, the two mysterious powers of heaven and earth began to pass through the space and fell on the demon ancestor's body that was gradually rising. As the bloodline power and soul power penetrated the demon ancestor's body, the demon ancestor's body gradually revealed the color of blood. Moreover, the faint aura from before became extremely dense. At this moment, a sharp screech came from the side of the yin energy. The last blood demon spirit pearl that had almost lost all of its blood color finally passed through the abyss and came out from the space crack and fell into the fragment space. Holy! The last demon ancestor had been standing at the side of the fragment space and waiting. Seeing the blood demon spirit pearl coming, he didn't have time to examine it carefully. He roared and opened his mouth. Woo! The blood light immediately rushed into the sky and landed on the blood demon spirit pearl. However, what made the demon ancestor stunned was that when the blood light landed, the blood demon spirit pearl didn't emit blood light like the other 48 blood demon spirit pearls. Instead, when the blood light landed on the blood demon spirit pearl, Kacha? A series of dull cracking sounds came from the blood demon spirit pearl. Under the demon ancestor's stunned eyes, cracks appeared on the surface of the blood demon spirit pearl that was covered with demonic marks. What is going on? The demon ancestor was stunned and didn't know what to do. Boom! At this moment, the sound of an explosion suddenly came out. The blood demon spirit pearl actually broke into pieces. Kakaka! A burst of arrogant laughter came out from the broken blood demon spirit pearl. Following this laughter, a majestic aura that was even more vast and mighty than the demon ancestors rippled out from the blood demon spirit pearl. In an instant, it covered the entire space. Demon Lord? Not to mention this demon, even the 48 demons in the spatial fragment were at a complete loss. Murderous demon flew out from the blood bead. His body immediately swelled up, and in just a blink of an eye, he had become a few thousand feet tall. Demon Venerable sure didn't need to look in any other direction. He immediately looked at Demon Venerable Ju's remains and couldn't help but sneer. Demon Venerable's remains? Haha, who would have thought that there would still be the remains of the Demon Realm's Demon Lord in the Yilin continent? As Demon Venerable sure laughed, he raised his head to look at the sky. Seeing the 48 blood droplets, as well as the power of the bloodline, the power of the soul, and the power of the yin astral force, the smile on Demon Venerable Shure's face became even wider. He could not help but cry out, "This is great. This sovereign was just worried about where to get enough blood spirit energy. This is great. This is all ready-made. Even if Big Brother knows, he will definitely not blame this sovereign." After speaking, Demon Venerable Shure opened his mouth. Woo! A stream of demonic chi mixed with blood rushed out, instantly turning into 48 demons, madly pouncing towards the 49 demons. These 49 demons were at most at the Demon Commander or Demon King level. How could they be a match for Demon Venerable Shure? When the blood demons rushed over, these demons all exploded into blood and entered the mouths of the demons. Immediately, the 48 blood demons rushed into the blood demon spirit pearls, and all of the blood demon spirit pearls spun even more crazily than before. Almost limitless yin astral force, souls, and bloodline continuously flowed into Demon Venerable Shure's body. Demon Venerable Shure blocked Demon Venerable Ju's remains, and the remains naturally fell from the sky, landing in the sea of demonic chi. It was still like an uninhabited island, floating alone. A few years passed in the blink of an eye. Seeing that the luster of the dozens of blood fiend spiritual pearls was becoming transparent, and the unparalleled yin astral force was gradually weakening, Demon Venerable Shure grinned and laughed. "Big brother, come out quickly. If you are any later, the souls of these humans will also be devoured by this little brother." After speaking, the demonic chi on the surface of Demon Venerable Shure's body quickly shrank, and the moment Xiao Hua's body appeared, shua. Another demonic light flashed, and Demon Venerable Shi flew out from Xiao Hua's bloodline. Xiao Hua's mind came out from the space, looking left and right, golden light flashed around his body, transforming into a Taoist robe. When Demon Venerable Shi devoured the blood demon spirit pearls, Xiao Hua already knew everything that happened in the space fragment. He lowered his head to look at Demon Venerable Ju's remains and frowned. Sure, do you know anything from the memories of those demons? Demon Venerable Shi shrugged, smiled and said, Little brother already told big brother everything I know. As for why Demon Venerable Ju's remains are here, little brother doesn't know. Is this thing useful to you? Xiao Hua asked thoughtfully. If little brother didn't use the laws of heaven and earth to condense the body, this thing would naturally be useful. After little brother devours it, not only can it refine the demonic body, it can also devour the cultivation of this Demon Venerable. Demon Venerable Shi smiled and said, But now, if little brother uses it to refine the demonic body, it will be neglecting the essentials. Moreover, this Demon Venerable's cultivation, to be honest, is much lower than little brother's, so there's no harm in not devouring it. That's good. Xiao Hua smiled and said, If you don't have any use for it, give it to Zhang Qingxiao. Of course. Demon Venerable Shi nodded. Big brother's second senior brother is little brother's second senior brother. Previously, big brother told little brother to leave some blood demon spirit pearls. Little brother understood. Since that's the case, keep these things, we will rush to Wumeng mountain range. Xiao Hua smiled and ordered. Demon Venerable Shi raised his hand and grabbed, and 48 blood demon spirit pearls fell into his demonic palm. Demon Venerable Shi withdrew his demonic palm, and a burst of demonic chi surged, and dozens of blood demon spirit pearls actually condensed into one. Go! Demon Venerable Shi waved his hand again, and the blood demon spirit pearl fell into the sky. Puff! Demon Venerable Shi opened his mouth again, and spat out a mouthful of demonic blood, hitting the blood demon spirit pearl, and an even more mysterious demonic pattern than before appeared. At the same time, the blood demon spirit pearl slowly rotated and actually turned into a fist-sized whirlpool, and the sea of demonic chi instantly rushed into the whirlpool. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a month, vote for a recommendation, collect, reward, thank you for all forms of support. Thank you, Benben, Lovely Broken String, Sunset Cloud Flight, and other fellow Taoists. I don't have any more chapters. Chapter 49-23. Xiao Hua had only absorbed a small part of the demonic chi, but the remains of the Demon Venerable Ju had already begun to appear. When Di Luo's hoof fell into Xiao Hua's eyes, roar? A dragon-like roar suddenly came out from the remains of Di Luo. Demon Venerable Shi and Xiao Hua's complexion changed at the same time. They looked at each other and said in unison, Demon Blade Murder? Sure enough, as the man and the demon cried out in alarm, a pitch-black saber tip eerily appeared from the demonic energy. This saber tip didn't seem real at all, as if it were in this space and also outside of this space. The space around the saber tip twisted, and even light that fell into the saber tip was cut in half, unable to reflect any light at all. From the blade tip, a sky-piercing murderous aura appeared. This aura was exactly the same as the demon blade murder that had fused with Xiao Hua's left hand before. When the blade tip of the demon blade murder appeared, it immediately produced a dragon-like roar. The blade tip flashed and was about to cut open the space fragment and rush out. How could the Demon Venerable Shi let the fat meat in his hands slip away? He raised his hand and the demon blade murder that had already fused with him appeared. A wave of murderous aura that could engulf the heaven and earth gushed out and fused with the blade tip's aura. Roar! The blade tip whistled again. This time, it seemed to be filled with joy. It changed its direction and pounced on the demon blade murder. Ka! With a crisp sound, the blade tip landed on the broken part of the broken blade and perfectly fused with it. Immediately, an even more ferocious aura rushed out from the demon blade murder. Not only did it fill up the space, it even penetrated the void and penetrated into the abyss outside of the space fragment. Kacha! The sound of thunder rose again. A strange pitch-black lightning appeared on top of the space fragment. Countless light shadows twisted and fell down with a loud bang. Xiaohua was originally happy for the demon Venerable Shi, but the moment the blade tip touched the broken blade, a mysterious feeling came from his left arm. A completely different world law from Xiaohua's body quietly appeared. Xiaohua couldn't help but exclaim, "Ouch! What's going on?" However, he didn't have time to look anymore. Demon Venerable Shi's left arm gushed out a wave of demonic qi and blood light, and the demon blade murder and the blade tip were absorbed into his body. Shwa! Above his head, the strange lightning disappeared like the wind. The light shadows also disappeared into the void. Interesting. Xiaohua did not pay attention to Demon Lord Shi. Instead, he was comprehending a different part of the laws of heaven and earth on his left arm. He thought to himself, this part of the laws of heaven and earth must belong to Demon Blade Shi. But hadn't the demonic saber Shi already fused with the demon sovereign Shi? Why is there an additional law in this Xiao's left arm? Moreover, this law seems to be a little messy and not complete. Presumably, it's because the devil saber murder wasn't completely refined. Thinking up to here, Xiaohua was suddenly startled, and a thought flashed through his mind. This thought was like a bolt of lightning that illuminated his thoughts. If this law is the devil saber murder, then repairing the devil saber murder is repairing this law. Then, wasn't refining slaughter devil saber the same as refining a Dao law? Where did the murderous devil blade, this law, come from? Could it be that these were the materials used to refine the demonic saber murder? Could the materials also be some laws? If these laws were fused together with the demon realm's blood refining technique to form a new law, would this law become the demonic blade murder? If that's the case, then all magic tools, demonic tools, imperial tools, and so on, and even spirit pills, wouldn't they all be a kind of heaven and earth law? It's just that because the heaven and earth law isn't the same, the amount of profoundness contained in the law is different, the forms they manifest are also different, and the magnitude of their power is also different. If that's the case, then wouldn't everything in this world be condensed from the law? It's not only this Xiao's body that's like this, but the bodies of other cultivators and the bodies of people in the secular world should also be like this. Xiaohua truly had a feeling that with a single thought, all thoughts were born. Or perhaps, the cultivation of us cultivators is to find the law within the body and strengthen this law? And in the end, like this Xiao's body that is completely constructed from the law. Xiaohua was just thinking about it excitedly. Ooh. A strange chanting sound suddenly came from the demon sovereign Ju's broken body, and then he saw a myriad of pure and holy brilliance rush out from the remnant devil qi in the air like sharp swords. Within the brilliance, there were unknown tree branches, flowing streams, and small winged spirit bodies appearing. A pure and holy aura also leaked out from this illusory figure, tenaciously strengthening in the space where the devil qi was wreaking havoc. Xiaohua stopped thinking, and when his gaze fell on the pure and holy brilliance, he couldn't help but be stunned. A feeling of disbelief appeared in his heart, but he also had a kind of absolute premonition that he seemed to have thought of something. Immediately after, he hurriedly looked at the demon sovereign Ju's broken body that was covered in the pure and holy brilliance. Sure enough, the originally faint demon sovereign aura now poured out from the broken body like a flood. That aura controlled the devil qi and turned it into countless devil marks, turning them into ferocious devils that covered the sky and earth as they fell towards the brilliance. And within the pure and holy brilliance, the originally pure spirit bodies instantly transformed into battle generals wearing battle armor, chanting battle songs as they rushed towards the devils. For a moment, the pitch-black devil fists and the pure and holy brilliance tangled together, and the entire space was filled with a dense aura of life and death. Damn it! Seeing that the pure and holy brilliance pierced through the devil qi and landed on the demon sovereign Ju's broken body, the devil marks on the broken body either resisted or collapsed, and the originally broken body began to collapse even more. Xiaohua cursed in a low voice, and raised his head to look at the demon sovereign Shi. The demon sovereign Shi was also stunned at this moment. He also looked at the pure and holy brilliance in disbelief, and a trace of innate fear actually appeared in his eyes. Xiao Hua shouted, "Sure, at this point, what are you still hesitating for? Damn it." Xiao Hua's words woke the demon's sovereign sure up. He couldn't help but grin and shout, "Big brother, could it be that this little brother saw wrongly? Isn't this the Holy Light realm's holy light? How can there be holy light in the Yilin continent?" Hearing the demon sovereign sure's words, Xiao Hua's face was filled with doubt, but he did not say much and anxiously shouted, "There's no need to say any more. Quickly take away the demon sovereign Ju's body. This demon sovereign's body is extremely important to Zhang Qingxiao." Hee hee. The demon sovereign sure chuckled, "Don't worry, big brother. Although the Holy Light realm's holy light is the same as the Buddhist light of the Buddhist sect, and is the natural nemesis of the demon clan, this holy light is clearly released by some kind of holy artifact. It originally had no owner, so how could it be a match for this little brother? Let's see how this little brother will destroy this holy artifact. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a month, vote for a recommendation, collect, reward, and thank you for all forms of support. Also, I didn't have a full subscription group before, but under the suggestion of a fellow Taoist, I created a WeChat full subscription group. Before entering, please contact the Cultivation God's customer services WeChat XYCQ1186258881CU and ask him to add all of you who have fully subscribed. Chapter 49-24. While speaking, Demon Lord Sure waved his left hand, and Demon Blade Sure let out an explosive sound, and an extremely fierce black light immediately appeared. "Don't be anxious." Xiao Hua's heart moved, and he hurriedly said, "Just protect Demon Lord Ju's body. Big brother will go down and take a look." Demon Lord Sure was startled, and he was somewhat hesitant. Although he was not afraid of this holy light, he was still unwilling to see a holy weapon that could emit holy light in this world. However, since Xiao Hua had spoken, Demon Lord Sure had no reason to not agree. He hurriedly shouted, "All right, big brother, be careful." While speaking, Demon Lord Sure withdrew his blade, and threw Demon Blade Sure to Demon Lord Ju's side. Ao ao ao. Countless demonic chi and blood demons roared as they rushed out from Demon Blade Sure and crazily pounced towards the holy light. What was special was that the demonic chi that was fighting with the holy light was also boiling, as if it had seen its reinforcements, and it was energized as it pounced into the holy light. In just a moment, all of the holy light was suppressed by the demonic chi, and the entire space was once again filled with the smell of blood. Xiao Hua slightly frowned, and urged his body to enter the demonic chi. After passing through the area where the demonic chi and the holy light were fighting, he finally arrived at a place of light. This place of light was not big, and was much smaller than the space enveloped by the demonic chi. When Xiao Hua entered, a burst of hymns immediately sounded in his ears, and a spirit body with a pair of transparent wings hovered around him. Similarly, a bunch of unknown tree branches also appeared around him. A kind of otherworldly, holy, quiet, and peaceful feeling emerged from the bottom of Xiao Hua's heart. This is the angel that Vairocana Buddha spoke of? Xiao Hua squinted his eyes, and looked at the spirit body, and thought to himself, "These spirit bodies are like children, and they look much cuter than the Buddhist sect's fairies. What is this song? Why does it sound like the Buddhist sect's scriptures, and it gives off a sense of tranquility? What does this water flow mean?" After looking for a moment, Xiao Hua released his divine sense, wanting to check the situation of the space, but when he released his divine sense, he found something strange. This space was different from the space enveloped by devil chi. Divine sense was somewhat restricted, like some milk. However, Xiao Hua's divine sense was strong enough that these restrictions were nothing. With a sweep of his divine sense, he could see everything within the space. In the blink of an eye, the previously adorable children's appearances had changed greatly. After Xiao Hua's divine sense swept over them, the children's figures suddenly swelled up and transformed into robust human figures. However, this humanoid figure looked like a man and looked like a general. Strange armor appeared on the surface of the bodies of these battle generals. Those transparent wings became thicker and longer. Long spears appeared in the hands of these battle generals. Within the light, thousands of battle generals had already formed a battle formation, as though they were on guard. Not to mention that these so-called war generals were merely spiritual projections in the holy light. Even if they were real spiritual bodies, how could Xiao Hua fear them? Xiao Hua only smiled faintly. With a wave of his hand, he blocked the holy light. The thousands of spiritual projections were annihilated, and the figure fell into the space. This was because he could already clearly see that at the bottom of the space, there was a fist-sized vessel. The holy light in the entire space was emitting from this vessel. However, Xiao Hua still underestimated this vessel. When he was only 100 zhang away from the vessel, another resounding hymn pierced into Xiao Hua's heart like a long spear. Countless waves of holy light overflowed from the vessel. Within these waves, a human figure wearing a pure white robe stood on top of the vessel. This human figure's appearance was not very clear, but that pair of eyes full of compassion and pity were abnormally clear. Moreover, at the corner of those eyes, there was a faint teardrop. Following the appearance of this human figure, a burst of heaven and earth power spontaneously appeared and blocked Xiao Hua's advance. Xiao Hua was a little shocked. Right now, although he had not recovered his 10th grade essence power, he still had the strength of a middle 9th grade essence power. How could a normal spiritual treasure's aura possibly block his advance? Xiao Hua could not help but secretly ponder, who is this human figure? Why does a mere projection have such power? This holy light realm is a little strange. No wonder this saint artifact was suppressed under the demon lord's remnant body. After looking for a while, Xiao Hua raised his hand and saluted. Not caring if that projection could hear him, he looked into the eyes of that human figure and said, "Fellow Taoist, I, Xiao Hua, greet you. Although I do not know what kind of almighty you are from the holy light realm, nor do I know what kind of saint artifact this vessel is. However, I do not have any evil intentions. I want to suppress the demon lord's body, so I cannot avoid releasing this saint artifact. And since this saint artifact is being suppressed, I believe that releasing this saint artifact will have a bad influence on the Dao sects of the Yilin continent. Therefore, I want to keep this saint artifact. In the future, if I have the fate to meet fellow Taoists from the Holy Light Realm, I will return this saint artifact to the Holy Light Realm." Xiao Hua had a clear conscience, and his gaze was naturally clear. As he spoke, his eyelids did not even blink. What was a little strange was that as Xiao Hua's voice landed, the hymn actually calmed down, and the spiritual body in the light figure once again turned into a child. "Then I will make my move." As Xiao Hua spoke, he slowly raised his hand. Rumble! In the midst of a huge explosion, a hand of lightning light produced a strong restriction, imprisoning the space around the vessel. Once the restriction was in place, the hymn above the vessel once again became incomparably sharp. The holy light was extremely resplendent, as if it was going to pierce through the void. Even the gaze of that human figure of light changed a little. "My apologies." As Xiao Hua spoke, he suddenly activated his magic power. Woo-woo! As if crying, as if in grief, the holy light was suddenly annihilated. That human figure of light also collapsed, entering the vessel. Once the light disappeared, the demonic energy and blood figure above Xiao Hua's head loudly fell, enveloping the entire space. However, after a few breaths, the surging demonic energy like a receding tide fell into Demon Sovereign Ju's remnant body. Demon Sovereign Sure opened his mouth, and a blood light fell. Demon Sovereign Sure's remnant body rapidly shrank, turning into the size of a palm, and was sealed in a blood crystal. The Sacred Light Realm's artifact fell into Xiao Hua's hand. A sweet fragrance wafted out from the artifact. This fragrance carried a medicinal smell. Xiao Hua looked at it and didn't think too much about it. He also sealed it with his hand and threw it into the space. "Big brother." Demon Sovereign Sure happily landed, and said with a smile, "Little brother is fortunate to have not failed you." As he spoke, Demon Sovereign Sure handed the blood crystal to Xiao Hua. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, cast a monthly vote, cast a recommendation vote, collect a gift, and thank you for all forms of support. In addition, I didn't have a full subscription group before, but under the suggestion of a fellow Taoist, I created a WeChat full subscription group. Before entering, please contact the Cultivation Gods customer service on WeChat XYCQ1186258881CU and let him add you to the full subscription group. Chapter 4925. Many thanks. Xiaohua also threw the blood crystal into the space. The demon-slaying body trembled, and he hurriedly said, "Big brother is too polite with me. You are me and I am you." Xiaohua smiled and asked, "How is the demon saber?" Although the demon saber is complete, it still needs to be refined. Demon Venerable Shi hurriedly replied, "However, refining the demon saber is far from being done in the Yi-Lin continent. As far as I know, even the demon world can't do it. Another heavy responsibility." Xiaohua looked around and smiled, "I'll leave this to you. Big brother can't help you." "Big brother, don't worry, I will definitely refine the demon saber." Demon Venerable Shi patted his chest and promised. Moreover, Big brother's strength hasn't recovered, and the others haven't woken up yet. In the future, you will have to protect Big brother. Xiaohua said seriously to Demon Venerable Shi. Demon Venerable Shi's body trembled, and he looked at Xiaohua and said, "Big brother, you trust me so much?" "Yes, why wouldn't I trust you? You are my little brother." Xiaohua said with a smile, "If Big brother doesn't trust you, who else can I trust?" I thought. Demon Venerable Shi had mixed feelings, and his slightly inferior but arrogant heart couldn't help but tremble. Xiaohua knew what Demon Venerable Shi wanted to say. He said meaningfully, "Buddha Bodhi is the primordial spirit that I personally split, and he is also one of my clones. Back then, I had many doubts in the higher bound, and I made him feel wronged. Although you are not my primordial spirit, you are still my avatar. Don't you feel it? You used the blood shadow art to refine your body, and now you are using the laws of heaven and earth to condense your spirit. You already have an unbreakable connection with me. You, and the heavenly being Lightning Sage, and the others are all the masters of my fortune gate." "Yes, I understand." Demon Venerable Shi nodded proudly, "I won't think too much in the future. As the demon world's demon venerable, where can I not dominate? I just like being with big brothers." "Sweat," Xiaohua said while holding his forehead with one hand. "Us brothers are of the same mind. In the future, no matter where we go, we will definitely be the overlords of a region. Could it be that you want to run away just because a celestial said a few words to you?" "Hee, little brother knows. Big brothers were just joking with little brother." Demon Venerable Shi immediately smiled mischievously, looking even more shameless than Zhang Qingxiao. "Isn't little brother just teasing big brother? All right, let's not talk about this anymore." Xiaohua waved his hand. "Big brother, let me ask you, where is this place in the Yi-Lin continent? How do we get to the Wuming mountain range?" "Okay, I'll let big brother know." Demon Honorable Shi immediately giggled and replied seriously, "This is the bottom of the Yi-Lin continent's extremely famous heaven sacrificial abyss." "Extremely famous?" Xiaohua pinched his chin and asked curiously. After all, he had never seen any records of the heaven sacrificial abyss in the Chanhe sect. Demon Venerable Shi laughed and said, "Chanhe sect is just a sect the size of a fingernail. How could they know about heaven sacrificial abyss? This heaven sacrificial abyss is the boundary between the Tao Alliance and the Heaven Alliance." "Stop." Xiaohua hurriedly asked again, "You said this is the boundary between the Heaven Alliance and the Tao Alliance? How did we get teleported so far away? This Heaven Alliance is an immortal alliance that can go against the Tao Alliance. What kind of power does it have?" Xiaohua's words had some things that he was clear of, some things that he was not clear of. He said everything in one go, clearly trying to get rid of some of the taboos in Demon Venerable Shi's heart. "My demon race has countless secret techniques. A baleful blood bead that can hold a spirit body, going from whatever Panlong mountain to the heaven sacrificial abyss is nothing." Demon Venerable Shi replied proudly, "And according to the information that little brother received, this Heaven Alliance is an alliance formed by Tao cultivators who cultivate primordial spirits. There are 72 immortal alliances under them, which are enemies with the Tao Alliance. Oh, the Tao Alliance is an alliance formed by Tao cultivators who cultivate the primordial spirits. There are 81 immortal alliances under them. Feng Yen Country's Fallen Immortal Sect is a member of Tsupu Immortal Alliance, while Tsupu Immortal Alliance belongs to the Tao Alliance. As for the Chan He Sect, although they are within the Tsupu Immortal Alliance's sphere of influence, they do not belong to the Tsupu Immortal Alliance. Following which, Demon Venerable Shi told Xiao Hua the fragmented information that he obtained from the memories of 10 over-demons. Of course, Xiao Hua could directly obtain this information from Demon Venerable Shi through his mind. However, he was still willing to tell Demon Venerable Shi every single word, because Xiao Hua felt that the current Demon Venerable Shi was the same as the other clones. He could already be seen as an independent individual. He had to give them sufficient respect. After Xiao Hua heard this, he nodded his head and said, "So the Tao sects in the Yilin continent are actually so prosperous. Previously, I thought that the entire Yilin continent was ruled by the Tao Alliance." At this point, Xiao Hua suddenly thought of something and hurriedly asked, "If that's the case, then is that Tsupu Immortal Alliance the Tao Alliance or the Heaven Alliance?" This Demon Venerable Shi hesitated for a moment, then shrugged his shoulders and said, "Little brother does not know. These little demons don't seem to know much." Furthermore, when they were being possessed, their memories were more or less fragmented. If Big Brother wants to know, little brother can help Big Brother find out after we go out. Xiao Hua naturally knew better than anyone else what Demon Venerable Shi's method of finding out information was. How could he dare to let Demon Venerable Shi do it? Thus, he smiled and said, "You are a Demon Venerable. How could Big Brother not treat you as a supreme cultivator? We are merely passers-by in the Yilin continent. There is no need for us to know too much about the Yilin continent situation. Big Brother has already checked just now. Big Brother is still unable to use the spatial evasion technique. However, there is no harm in using the lightning evasion technique. As long as we find the direction of the Wumeng mountain range, we can fly over." Hearing that Xiao Hua was not willing to let him go find out information, Demon Venerable Shi was very happy. He hurriedly offered a plan and said, "However, Big Brother, we do not know how to go from the Wumeng mountain range to the Dawn Rain continent's spatial tunnel. Don't you remember what you said before? Someone from that Tsupu Immortal Alliance passed through the Wumeng mountain range's natural restriction. Little brother feels that we should first find Tsupu Immortal Alliance and see how they pass through the natural restriction." That's right. Xiao Hua clapped his hands and said, "You are right. Big Brother is too anxious. Counting the days, we still have a lot of time. Now, only the Wumeng mountain range is left. We must be careful and not fall short. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, give it as a reward, and in addition, there was no all-subscription group before. Under the suggestion of a fellow Taoist, I created a WeChat all-subscription group. Before entering, please contact the Cultivation Gods customer service on WeChat XYCQ1186258881CU and ask him to add all the fellow Taoists who have all-subscription. Chapter 4926. At this point, Xiao Hua looked left and right. Outside the spatial fragment, the scenery had already changed. An inexplicable spatial storm mixed with a strange spatial ripple was wreaking havoc in the surroundings. Light and shadow changed and created many illusions. Xiao Hua smiled again and said, "Since this heaven sacrificial abyss is a natural barrier that separates the Tao Union and the Heaven Union, it will be troublesome to get out of here. Do you have any ideas?" "Leave it to little brother." Demon Venerable Shi Jiang thumped his chest loudly and shouted, "Little brother has just found out that there is a black demon path that leads to the outside of the abyss from this space fragment. It was built by these demon bastards with great effort. These demon race have spent a lot of effort. You have let them down by devouring them." Xiao Hua looked at Demon Lord Shi and raised his hand to point out a few demon patterns. Those demon patterns landed in a corner of the space and immediately started to spin. He smiled and said, "They want to revive this demon Lord Ju. Aren't you more powerful than this demon lord?" The demon Lord Shi opened his mouth and said, "Big brother, It is their fortune to be devoured by this demon lord. Why do you think they want to revive this demon Lord Zhu? It is to be devoured by this demon Lord Zhu. Forget it, forget it. Xiao Hua smiled bitterly and waved his hand. This is your demon race's matter. Big Brother doesn't understand. You can do whatever you want. The demonic pattern spun rapidly, and after a moment, it condensed into several funnel-like vortexes, which were extremely similar to the ones Xiao Hua had seen in the Pan Long Mountain. In the end, the vortexes collided with each other, and the power of the demonic pattern hit the void. Puff! The sound of a bubble bursting was heard, and a blood-red passageway that was only a few feet wide appeared in the void. Demon Lord Shi pointed at the blood-red tunnel and smiled. Big Brother, this is my demon race's black demon path. Only the demon race's demon body can pass through. Big Brother should have no problem, right? If you can pass through, Big Brother can too. Xiao Huan nodded and looked at Demon Lord Shi's body spinning like a whirlwind. The entire demon body condensed into demon qi and rushed into the black demon path. After the demon sovereign was killed, Xiao Hua also activated his devil technique. As the devil qi around his body twisted, a suction force was born from the black demon path. Xiao Hua's figure swayed, and he also entered the black demon path. Above the void fragment, a curvy strand of demon qi strangely passed through the gaps between the void fragment. It swayed left and right in the spatial storm like a string of a kite, and one end of the string plunged deep into a certain part of the abyss. Looking above the abyss, beyond the layers of fragments, under the cover of the sun and moon, there were several more passages 10,000 feet wide across the abyss. Outside the passages, layers of talismans were stacked together, and layers of spiritual energy fluctuations intertwined. Rays of light formed a barrier that firmly protected the passages. On one side of the passage, more than a dozen cultivators at the spirit-severing stage were holding magic treasures and patrolling in an orderly manner. On the other side of the passage, there were more than a dozen cultivators with similar strength standing there, constantly monitoring the movements of the passage. Xiao Hua's figure fell into the black demon path, and a force that was close to the teleportation pressure fell. Then he saw spots of fine lines appear in the nearby space. These fine lines revealed black and white light, and at the same time, there were threads of blood permeating this light. In just a few minutes, Xiao Hua felt his body become light, and the moonlight in front of him was like a painting. The demon sovereign had been waiting in the air for a long time. At this time, his body had shrunk, and he was like a cloud of faint black fog floating there. Even if ordinary cultivators scanned him with their divine sense, they wouldn't be able to detect him. Seeing Xiao Hua come out, the demon sovereign raised his hand and pointed in a direction. He hurriedly said, Big Brother, there is another black demon path 100,000 miles ahead of us. I don't know where it will be teleported to. Do you think we should use that black demon path or the teleportation formation of the Heaven Alliance? Xiao Hua thought for a moment and said, let's use the black demon path. After all, this place is very close to the Tao Alliance, and you and I are not familiar with the Heaven Alliance. If we encounter any interrogation, it will be quite troublesome. Che! The demon sovereign snorted coldly and said, Big Brother is already a sovereign cultivator of the human race. Do you still need to worry about any trouble? Xiao Hua smiled and said, Big Brother is like this. He likes to avoid trouble. Moreover, you must know that this is the Yi-Lin continent, where our Tao sect is at its peak. Who knows how many experts and sovereign cultivators there are in the Tao Alliance and Heaven Alliance. I remember that day in the 10,000 Demon Realm, when the Tao Heaven Realm was mentioned, even the Rapid Cherry Grand Sage had a headache. You and I are not afraid of these cultivators, but there is no need to find trouble for ourselves, right? Alright, whatever Big Brother says. The demon sovereign nodded. If it was in the demon realm, I would definitely not be so humble. How is this called humble? Xiao Hua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This is called enduring humiliation. What enduring humiliation? It is clearly enduring humiliation. As the demon sovereign spoke, the demon qi around his body surged, and he turned into a black light and disappeared into the void. Damn it, when did you learn to be coquettish with the lightning reverend? Hearing the demon sovereign's face say a few idioms, which even led Xiaohua's words to deviate, Xiaohua couldn't help but laugh and scold. However, as he spoke, Xiaohua also used the wind escape technique and chased after the demon sovereign. When he reached a place where there was no one, he used the lightning escape technique and left. In just half a day, the two arrived at a barren place. The demon sovereign easily found the entrance of the black demon path from the swamp. After driving away some strange beasts, Xiaohua and the demon sovereign once again entered the path. This time, the time of the teleportation was similar to the time of the blood fiend's spiritual pearl's teleportation. When they came out of the black demon path, they were at the peak of a towering mountain. Contrary to Xiaohua's expectations, the exit of the black demon path was actually in a teleportation array that seemed to have been damaged long ago. As Xiaohua and the demon sovereign flew out, the clear demon marks rolled up the demon chi and quickly converged into the talisman of the teleportation array. In just a few breaths, even if one used their divine sense to investigate, it would be difficult to find anything strange inside. And what was special was that Xiaohua used his divine sense to investigate this teleportation array and found that if this teleportation array was repaired, it could still be used. In other words, a long time ago, the Dao Sect's teleportation array was used together with the demon race's black demon path. Sigh. Xiaohua withdrew his divine sense and sighed, "The more I cultivate, the more I feel that I am shallow. I always find that there are too many secrets in this world that I don't know. Even if I have a primordial spirit and cultivate 10 times more techniques than others, I always feel that what I have learned is just a drop in the ocean." P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please go to Qidian to subscribe to support, vote for a month, vote for a recommendation, collect, reward, and thank you for all forms of support. In addition, I didn't have a full subscription group before. Under the suggestion of a fellow Taoist, I created a WeChat full subscription group. Before entering, please contact the Cultivation God's customer services WeChat XYCQ1186258881CU and let him add all fellow Taoists who have a full subscription group. Chapter 4927. Big Brother, aren't you trying to embarrass me? Demon Venerable Shi was displeased. No matter what, I am still a devil spirit from the higher realm. But I didn't know that the devil race had such a secret technique like the black demon path. My devil race from the higher realm either have spatial abilities or simply use their bodies to break through space. Who would think of using the black demon path? I think the black demon path must have been borrowed from the Dao Sect's teleportation formation. I seem to have thought of a saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Xiaohua laughed. If the devil race wants to hide among the Dao Sect cultivators and not learn from the human race, that won't do. Indeed. Demon Venerable Shi did not laugh, but said seriously, from the incomplete memories of these devils, I know that they have lived in the Yilin continent for a long time. Many of their habits and techniques seem to have changed. Oh, that's right. Xiaohua suddenly thought of something and asked, how did these devils get to the Yilin continent? Could it be that the Yilin continent has a space crack similar to the one in the demon-resisting valley of the Xiaoyu continent? What is their purpose in coming to the Yilin continent? The Yilin continent doesn't have any demon-resisting valley. However, it seems like the Devil Realm and the Yilin continent would overlap every 10,000 years. In this overlapping area, the human race can enter the Devil Realm, and the Devil race can also come to the Yilin continent. Demon Venerable Shi thought for a while and replied, these devils were left behind from the last time the world overlapped. As for their purpose, it seems like it really has something to do with Demon Venerable Jew. But as for what it is exactly, I don't know. However, I do know that the Yilin continent is different from the Devil Realm. The Devil race shouldn't have taken root here. When they come to the human realm, it's like the human race is hunting. Alright, no matter what it is, it has nothing to do with me. Xiaohua laughed. Taking advantage of this time, he had already released his divine sense and scanned the surrounding 10,000 li. He said, I have already discovered a big city of the human race. You can return to the space. I will go and scout for information. If there is a teleportation formation, I will directly take it to the Wumeng mountain range. I will listen to Big Brother's orders. Demon Venerable Sure nodded. I can also go back and take a look at how to repair this devil blade. Maybe when I reach the Xiaoyu continent, I can help Big Brother. All right. Xiaohua nodded. Just as the demon supremacy transformed into devil qi and was about to return to the space, it suddenly stopped. A large head poked out of the devil qi and said, "That's right, Big Brother. I remember you once said that Demon General Ji Peng's clone saw your true appearance. Our demon clan has some divine abilities that allow the clone to transmit what it sees to the main body. If you want to obtain information about the Wuming Mountain Range from Demon General Ji Peng or the Liu Immortal Alliance, it's best that you transform into that ugly appearance." Damn it. Looking at the Demon Lord Shi's big head blinking at me and shrinking back into the devil qi, Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and scolded, "What do you know? This is my true form." Ha! Although Demon Lord Shi had hidden himself in the space, his maniacal laughter was still heard in the Yilin continent. Hearing Demon Lord Shi's joyful laughter, Xiaohua's heart also relaxed. Believing in a person, believing in a clone, believing in a demon clan's clone, felt good. Hearing Demon Lord Shi's suggestion, Xiaohua transformed into Zhang Xiaohua's appearance and was about to fly to the big city in the distance. However, after flying for a few thousand feet, he remembered something and landed on a mountain. With a shake of his hand, he took out the Kunlun mirror and activated the light beam, bringing Yu Hua and Lu Qingyu out of the space. Yu Hua and Lu Qingyu steadied themselves and saw Xiaohua looking at them with a smile that wasn't a smile. They hurriedly bowed and said, "Junior greets Senior Zhang. Many thanks to Senior Zhang for saving our lives." After saying that, Lu Qingyu looked to the left and said worriedly, "Senior Zhang, where is Junior's disciple?" "Don't worry," Xiaohua said with a smile. "All of you are fine. How could this old man let your obedient disciple hurt at all?" That's good, Lu Qingyu said with a smile, but stopped on second thought. Of course, Xiaohua knew what Lu Qingyu wanted to say. He said with a smile, "The opportunity you are waiting for is different from his. When this old man and he part ways, I will naturally call him out." Part ways? Hearing that, Yu Hua was a little anxious. She looked around and said anxiously, "Senior, where are we? Don't you need me to wait for you?" "Ah." Xiaohua looked at the two and said with a smile, "As the saying goes, all good things must come to an end. Now it's time to part ways. You and the others have formed ties of fate with this old man, so this old man will give you two choices. First, follow this old man and you don't have to go back to the Chanhe sect. In the future, the Chanhe sect will have nothing to do with you. Second, part ways with this old man here. This is a place of the Heavenly Alliance. This old man will send you to the nearest big city of the Immortal Alliance and give you enough crystals to let you go back to the Chanhe sect. Of course, if you choose to go back to the Chanhe sect, this old man will ask Nuo Yeching to come out and say goodbye to you." Hearing this, even a person with a screw loose understood Xiaohua's meaning. Yu Hua and Lu Qingyu almost didn't dare to believe their ears. They hurriedly turned over and kowtowed, "Junior greets Master, don't be anxious, don't be anxious." Xiaohua smiled and said, "This old man has already said the word, Master, before. It's not something you can call. All of you watch carefully." While speaking, Xiaohua withdrew the illusion technique and revealed Taoist Zhao's appearance. Moreover, he slightly revealed the strength of the middle 9th level of origin energy. Ah? Seeing Xiaohua revert to his original appearance, which was 100 times more handsome than before, and there was an indescribable grace between his brows. Needless to say, the aura of the 9th level of origin energy was as vast as the sea to Yu Hua and Lu Qingyu. The two of them couldn't help but cry out as they understood the meaning of Xiaohua's words. Xiaohua hurriedly withdrew his aura and helped the two of them up. He smiled and said, "This old man is the Fortune Gates sect Master Xiaohua, Taoist Xiao. This old man is not a cultivator of the Tao Union, nor a cultivator of the Heaven Union. This old man is a Tao sect cultivator from another world. As for why this old man came to the Yilin mainland, you don't need to ask. Someone will tell you in the future. Since you are willing to go with this old man will let this old man's disciple accept you." Saying this, Xiaohua waved the Kunlun mirror and called out Li Xiang and Xiongyi. The two nascent soul cultivators landed on the foot of the mountain. They didn't forget to look around and immediately bowed. Greetings, Master. P.S. Fellow Taoists who like this book, please subscribe to it at Qidian, vote for it, vote for it, vote for it, give it as a reward, and